Mitchell wants another three, and he finds it.
And you want him to play football, Grant.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
That one picked off, and it's a pick six by Jalen Petrie.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
In the mid-range, he'll drive it and tie it up with 2 seconds remaining.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Catch is made by Amari Cooper, who broke free. Inside the 20, stays in bounds, and is wrestled out at the Eagles' 8-yard line.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go on this Wednesday afternoon. Good afternoon. David Smoak along with Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, also Emma, Hayden, and Jack in the background, but not always. That's just what they do. And behind the scenes, they are as much a part of the show as anybody. We are busy. Have a couple of golf segments on the verge of the U.S. Open, the eve of the U.S. Open. And then, of course, the NBA playoffs have been hammered throughout the last several weeks, and even now, even more so with new news on Kawhi Leonard and Chris Paul. And LaceDarius Dunn, one of the most dynamic shooting, scoring players in Baylor men's basketball history, will join us today at 4 o'clock, along with Jon Machota on the Cowboys at 5 o'clock. So we have seen the injuries that obviously affected the Lakers with Anthony Davis and then even LeBron, among some others. There's other teams that have had their injuries. But Phoenix is on fire, and all of a sudden, Chris Paul, who's had issues with injuries, he goes out because of COVID protocol. And on top of that, Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers, who are trying to battle back in their series, he's out maybe for the rest of the playoffs with a knee injury.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll accuse the Clippers of sabotaging his career like he did the Spurs.
Possibility.
But, yeah, that's bad for the Clippers. I mean, the Jazz are a really good team, and the Clippers had finally balanced that thing out. And, I mean, it's been a busy day for news in the NBA. I mean, Chris Paul, fortunately for the Suns, they've got a little bit of a break in between because they got to wait for the Jazz or the Clippers to win and come play them. So maybe Chris Paul can get back without any further delay other than, sitting out for, protocol time. But yeah. And then of course, you had the news today that Donnie Nelson's out after 24 years with the Mavericks. And that comes on the heels of the Athletic article that said that there's friction in the front office. And if Mark Cuban wants people to believe that it's total bull, then it's hard when Donnie Nelson, who's been there for 24 years, is out. But, they're stuck in neutral a little bit, so you kind of understand why Donnie Nelson would be out. Is
he out because this guy that Tim Cato discussed, Craig mentioned it yesterday, is it because he is, in fact, the one who's now taking control of all the decisions?
I mean, it's hard to say that it wouldn't be, but even still, take that guy out of it. If you just take Donnie Nelson being out in a vacuum, to me, he's been there a long time. They have a new star. They're kind of stuck in neutral. They maybe need some new eyes on it. But if you throw that other part into it, then it really fogs it up.
Well, we'll see what happens with that. Donnie Nelson's been on this show a handful of times over the at least once or twice in the last year.
Well, I mean, with Kawhi Leonard, that's a torn ACL, most likely. So that's kind of a big deal, not only for the playoffs, but for next season. So they're waiting to get verification on that, but it looks like a torn ACL. So that's even more major than just missing a couple of games. With the Chris Paul thing, I mean, it's been the story of the postseason in some ways. It's just, availability and his health. It's always a question mark with Chris Paul, but the Suns have been one of the great stories. And so hopefully he can get over this hump and be ready, because it would be a real shame to see this feel-good, type of team in the, conference finals and not without, the player who's the face of the franchise at the moment besides Booker, but one of the faces of the franchise. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. I know there's coaching changes galore, but the Donnie Nelson stuff, yeah, that's surprising. Also, he's been there for forever. I don't know. Maybe he's just kind of done with it at this point. Maybe he's part of this article that came out? I don't know. We need Mark Cuban to actually come out and say something. And we need a kind of a sit-down interview to see what's going on with the Mavericks right now, because you can say, oh, that's total BS when the article comes out, but when 3 days later your 25 or 24-year tenured GM suddenly deciding to step down, like, that's really weird timing. I mean, that's timing that's so weird that it's kind of hard to not think that there isn't something going on with the Mavericks behind the scenes right now. So we'll see. I'm sure Donnie Nelson will have more comments to come, but that is a pretty massive change. I mean, you're talking about 24 years, talking about NBA championship. You're talking about, a couple of finals appearances. You're talking about the drafting and subsequent, reign of Dirk. You're talking about the drafting of Luka. You're talking about a lot of monumental moments in Mavericks history that Donnie Nelson was a part of. So that's a game changer.
I did not know this, and I didn't read all of Tim Cato's article. I just read some of the bullet points. But Voulgaris, we know what he used to do. He was a gambler. Hired by the Mavericks, has reportedly gone directly to Mark Cuban and communicated directly with Rick Carlisle despite Nelson's objections.
Yeah.
So he's the odd man out, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's why the article was really interesting. It was because of all the stuff that he was doing behind the scenes. Like I said yesterday, he was setting game lineups, apparently, and he was making personnel decisions. And if you read the article, it does say in there that, yeah, Rick Barnes wasn't, like, signing off on everything. Like, this guy was making his own decisions. And that's why everybody's like, if that article had come out and Rick Carlisle and Mark Cuban signed off on everything, I think people would be weirded out, but they'd be like, okay, well, at least the coach agrees. The reason people are freaking out is because this dude's doing something without everybody being on board with it. That's why everybody's like, wait a second, why does he have so much power, and why is he making decisions without the input of the head coach, for example, in drafting players and lineup movement? Like, that's why it's a weird story. And so Donnie Nelson leaving right after that, it makes it an even more bizarre story.
But Mark Cuban wanted to call it BS immediately. That was his response to it, BS, and he wrote out the word. It sounds like to me that Tim Cato did one hell of a job in getting all the information. So Kawhi Leonard, torn ACL.
All the working to verify,
yeah. And then Chris Paul, COVID protocol. Phoenix is as hot as anybody in the NBA. And by the way, Kevin Durant, you're stupid. Like, in a good way. That's like, you're stupid. I saw him hit a shot yesterday with the shot clock going down. He had 49 last night in their win against, I just went blank. But Kevin Durant last night had 49 and hit a shot at a critical time with a man in his face from three that was crazy. Did you see it, Jack?
Yeah, it was
Milwaukee.
ridiculous.
Yeah, Giannis didn't have the greatest ending, the backstretch of that game. Missed a couple of free throws and also a turnover from Middleton and him. But I just wanted to go from NBA that. But Chris Paul, this is unfortunate. This is a guy who's trying to find his first ring, right? This isn't like a super team he joined or he was a part of one, and he's bounced around. He's been a part of Charlotte, Houston, the Clippers,
Rockets.
I mentioned Houston. I don't know, maybe Oklahoma City. He's been all over the place, and now with Phoenix, and they've been kind of a sleeping giant with some young talent. And now all of a sudden he might get derailed, or they might get derailed because of protocol.
He was finally the X factor that somebody needed. And
he gave them a presence, a calmness.
They have Booker and they've got Ayton, and those are young guys who can really play, and they've got other young players that are good. But he was the veteran presence that team needed, and they've been great. And hopefully his COVID is a light bout with COVID, or I don't even read
contact tracing.
Or if he.
That's the thing is nobody knows if it's contact tracing or if he has COVID. Yeah. Like, that's not out there yet. So there's quite a difference in if he has it himself, which would mean at least 2 weeks, or if it's a contact tracing. Or I'm sure the Suns could find a way to say, no, he really had it like 5 days ago, and so now he's already halfway through it. I'm sure there will be some funny business there potentially.
Sure.
But it's not known if he actually has it. That's why it's a question mark of how much time he's actually going to miss.
So here's another note about the NBA. Joel Embiid and others were named to the All-NBA team, all right? Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, Julius Randle, LeBron, obviously Luka, Kawhi, Stephon Curry, Giannis, and others. 2 players, Jason Tatum and Donovan Mitchell, were eligible to receive a $33 million bonus if named to the All-NBA team, and they did not, either one of them, make it. And both of them probably had an argument to be a part of it, although it's hard to knock off some of the names that I just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like what we do when we do call-in segments on the show.
Best player ever, top three ever. Someone's got to come off.
Yeah, so if you're Donovan Mitchell or Jason Tatum, both who are excellent players and probably deserve, to be on the All-NBA team, if that's the case, the problem is that, okay, are you going to take off Damian Lillard? Probably not. Are you going to take off Chris Paul?
Bradley Beal?
Are you going to take off, LeBron James? I mean, who are you going to take off?
Jimmy Butler, Paul George. I mean, it's a great list, and it should be, because there's a lot of good players, Paul.
Yeah.
And so that's unfortunate. Meanwhile, Embiid, will, in fact, get the opportunity to extend a contract 4 years, $191 million.
I mean, you can make an argument for those guys who have made the team, but like you said, it's also very deep. There's other guys that are just a lot of good players, and it's not just the guys in big markets that you think of right away. There's a lot of other, solid players as well around the league. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's significant that by not making that, you don't get an extra $32 million. I don't really feel sorry for him, obviously, because he's still making hundreds of millions of dollars, but had he made that, that's an extra $32 million. Mm-hmm. So, kind of hurts the pocketbooks a little bit. And, I guess you win either way because you're still a millionaire even missing out, but you would have been, a millionaire by a larger margin had you made it. So, yeah, it's kind of a tough pill to swallow.
Well, so that's that. Herm Edwards and his football staff, Zach Barnett and Football Scoop had this, and Arizona State has possible recruiting violations that could include payment to players, visits during the dead period that was forever because of COVID, and a couple of other notes. And so that will be interesting to see how that breaks down. One writer, and I forget, Wrightster, reported that he thinks that some of these might be strong enough that where he's not so sure they get to September in the season as a staff.
I haven't read much about that, but I find it hard to believe they'll get punished really severely in paying players unless it was just so out of control when you're about to enter a period when you're going to start paying players. So you can say, technically they broke the rules, but are you going to slam the program because they did something a year before everybody else was still doing it anyways, but now openly doing it? So there must be some other things to that to make it that severe.
One of the reports from Kyle Bandiguera was that the far-reaching concern for Arizona State that Herm Edwards and Antonio Pierce, who's the former Super Bowl linebacker, may be implicated in some of the committee or be a part of the violations. But this is just out. It's a football story. It's a college football story. Of course, it might take the NCAA 3 weeks. It might take them 25 years.
I wondered if anybody would try to sneak people, because, how would you know unless somebody, reported and saw you? But how many people would be like, yeah, it's the dead period. We're not supposed to have you. But if you and your folks are coming through town, the front door's open. The code's 816. Pop on in. Say hello. There'll be a jersey with your name on it. I don't know how that, those kind of things.
Door number 3.
Yeah, it's, those kind of things.
And that envelope that's really thick, like about this thick with hundreds, I don't know how it got there.
No.
Now, I think Herm Edwards is good as gold. I also know that you never know. And so I hope that this is maybe a little smoke, but nothing to it. I for his sake, because I think Herm Edwards is great for anything coaching.
He's a great coach. He's a really good coach, and I will admit that he's done better at Arizona State than I expected. Although they played 4 games last year, so it's kind of hard to make much of a judgment. But his first year was above expectations, I would think, pretty much across the board. This is not a Armageddon situation by allowing a few people to visit campus, but it is against the rules. I don't think it's a fireable offense. Unless something else is out there that we don't know about yet, but that is something that could, get you a bit of a slap on the wrist. We'll see. You don't know what the NCAA, as we've established, for a while now.
No, you really, really don't. Last night, the Rangers had a 2-1 lead in the 9th. They blew it, a home run from the Astros in the bottom of the 9th, tied it up. Then the Rangers took the lead. And I don't know if you have the video. I didn't send it to you, Jack, but Jose Altuve hit a walk-off grand slam. And he's hitting the ball now. He's putting up some numbers now. And, Paul, there was a concern about him the year after. And he's starting to heat up. The Astros are mauling the baseball. The other day, I on occasion will just look at a box score I don't care if it's 7-5, I don't care what the score is. I just look at a box score and I go over to the right and I look at the on-base percentage or I look at batting averages. The Astros lineup is stupid. How high many of the averages are in that 290 or 300 or so. And they, it can drop a little bit here and there, but they are mauling the baseball. And that AL West is one hell of a race with what they are doing in Oakland. But it appears as if they've got their engine moving pretty good.
I think they'll eventually separate from the A's. The A's, couldn't hit their way out of a wet paper bag. They pitch really well, but I think ultimately it's gonna catch up to them. I think the Astros will run away with the West eventually. I do. They're really good. I watched them against the Red Sox 3 out of the 6 times they've played this year because I got mad the other 3 times.
Well, they most likely will. There's less than 100 games left, which is a lot. But the Astros are still 2.5 back of the A's. They've made a run and they pulled back. They made a run, but
the A's will get, in a wild card game. The season will probably end there. Maybe they win that wild card game, but they're not winning a World Series. They're Oakland. I'm sorry, they're not. They can make it competitive. I think they can hang around, but I think the Astros eventually overwhelm them, and with the way that they're playing right now. And, maybe it'll be a tight little race, but, at least you're in contention for the postseason. I think the Astros could go on to win a championship. I wouldn't expect the A's to sniff one, though.
No, I don't think they have that kind of a team either. But Altuve looks as if he's bounced back after last year. Grand slam to walk off in the 10th to beat the Rangers. And, of course, just yet another devastating type moment for the Rangers. Altuve's hitting .290 now, 13 home runs and 34 runs batted in. Neither one of those numbers are good, but they're better than where he was. He's still in the top 30 in most of the stats. 13th, 26th in home runs, 32nd on-base percentage, or OPS, 24th in the league in batting average, and he's trending up with what he's doing. All right, Craig, you mentioned something. I don't know how. I don't have that much information, but you say there's something simmering with Major League Baseball?
Well, there's been something simmering with Major League Baseball for a couple weeks. We were interviewing guys 3 weeks ago about, we're talking about Arthur Rhodes and those guys about the cheating in baseball. It's been rampant. Everybody knows it. It's been a very badly kept secret that pitchers have been putting substances on the balls, and not like in the way that they've done that for decades, putting Vaseline or pine tar or whatever, but putting like a specific type of sticky substance. I forget the name of it.
Spider tack.
Yeah, spider tack. It's actually called spider tack. And so there's been all this stuff swirling, but an MLB writer who I guess has just had enough, Ryan Spader, came out with a full list of things today. He, I guess, is just kind of fed up with the Astros being like the scapegoats, I guess, or the poster children for cheating in baseball. So he just went on a thread and he said the Royals were the first team with a full analytics and video department close by their dugout, doing so in 2015, their World Series championship year. How they used it, I do not know. I want to know that one player who played for the Royals in 2016 just texted me saying that every team had the same video room by then. He says the Yankees had cameras in left, center, and right, all pointing at the pitcher's glove rather than the catcher to pick up his grip. Aaron Judge in 2017-18 hit .312, .440, .725 at home, .256, .404, and .531 on the road. So a pretty big difference there. So the Dodgers had an employee who was caught setting up cameras at Minute Maid wearing an MLB polo shirt when he should have been wearing a Dodgers polo during the 2017 World Series. My favorite player ever, this one hurts to say, Chase Utley was the biggest cheater of all time. He said, as insane as this sounds, I've heard from multiple players, Adrian Beltre had a buddy with binoculars in dead center who would wave a white undershirt if he was getting something off speed. In 2017, that year, Beltre at home hit .362, .440, and .586. Away, he was .271, .333, and .489. He says,
all right, that's a fraud. The whole thing's a fraud then. The whole report.
So there's just a whole list of things. And like some of that stuff we already knew, like the Dodgers employee, like we knew about that, but he's just pointing out like there's a lot of teams that were kind of up to something over the last few years. And I think everybody knows it wasn't just the Astros. It was just the Astros that got caught. But it did kind of, humor me a little bit when you had, the Red Sox or the Yankees or any of these teams start to get brought up and it's like, so how's the weather today? The weather's looking really great. Those Astros cheating fools, it always kind of went back to them.
It's the same thing with McGuire and Canseco, and then you find out that
don't talk about Griffey. Don't talk about, anybody else that could have potentially, and I love Griffey. But I'm realistic, and I know that everybody could have been doing something, but we didn't talk about him. We just, if he got brought up, we very quickly skirted it aside.
I think one of the things we need to accept if you're a baseball fan is that we need to maybe get down off our high horse and understand that this has been a game since its inception of in the most, spin zone way of saying this, bending the rules.
They have pushed every envelope known to man.
So, and look, to this spider tack, I saw this. This is Brandon Webb, former Major League pitcher, on the Diamondbacks broadcast on Bally Sports last night doing a demonstration of what spider tack does. Can you see how that could help the spin rate?
I'm surprised we haven't seen somebody try to throw the ball and just fall forward off the mound with the ball still stuck to his hand.
That's what I'm saying, because that looks like Gorilla Glue. And I've had that stuck before, and I panicked and tried to make sure I got it off, and with a razor blade, whatever else. You would think sometimes that would have led to a few pitches that barely go 3 feet because they're stuck to their hand. I don't know.
This guy continued on, and I'm not a follower of his. I just noticed that the thread was up there, and a lot of people were commenting on it. His name's Ryan Spader, for what it's worth, and he's got a pretty good following on Twitter, MLB analyst. He said the reason MLB suddenly started to give a you-know-what about sticky stuff, which has been prevalent in baseball forever, is to pin the players against each other before the CBA. Now they're letting some of their biggest stars get burned and will continue to do so. Did you notice that no-hitters were complaining about pitchers doing this until this season, especially when names started being released by MLB? Scapegoating again, creating a villains when it's a league-wide issue, if it's even a real issue at all. And he just goes on and on pointing out these things.
Well, I do think part of the problem is that one of the guys who's been caught doing it, or people, suspect, Garrett Cole is one of the best pitchers in the league. So when it's just like when it was McGuire and Sosa with steroids, it's going to get more attention. Now, I will credit Garrett Cole with this. When asked directly about it, he didn't lie.
No, but he was not prepared, and he should have been. My God.
At least that's better than wagging your finger at Congress.
Yeah, like
Palmeiro did.
Yeah.
And look, maybe Garrett Cole winds up being the Jose Canseco of this whole deal, in that maybe he's a jerk that just was honest, like Jose Canseco was, a human train wreck, but he was not lying about steroids.
No, it is interesting. It's like a lot of things that, oh my God, how could this happen? And then you realize it's not happening. It's prevalent.
I don't think people are saying, oh my God, I can't believe it. I think people are just okay, well, let's just get it all out there then and not blame one team or one player or one group of people for this when it's going on every single other place. That's the thing, is the way the Astros were hung out to dry, they were the scapegoats, and there were plenty of other teams that were, involved in doing things, and if not every team doing something to try to get an advantage. But, now they're going to start suspending guys for using sticky stuff, using the spider tack, apparently. That's one of their ways to fix this. We'll see how much of an effect that really has. But, yeah, Garrett Cole's answer the other night was, that was an all-time press conference moment right there when he got straight up asked about what he was using, and he just did not know how to answer that question.
Did he ever lie?
No.
He didn't lie, but he was super awkward, and it was very clear he wasn't lying, and the truth was very obvious that he has been using some stuff.
Why did someone ask him? I know he's the best pitcher.
Because he's been people have noticed things about his spin rate.
Oh, okay.
His spin rate's falling off the
analytics.
Yeah.
Well, no, he got accused of it, and all of a sudden, after it started to get really hot, his next two starts, his spin rate was dramatically different than it was in the previous starts. That's how you can tell. That didn't just suddenly happen overnight. That was because he was using something that had an effect on the spin rate. And then once people started to pay attention, he had to stop using it, and all of a sudden his spin rate's down.
Why did Mark McGuire get hit with all the accusations?
Because he just had Andros sitting in his locker.
Andros Steendye on just a regular, could have been vitamins. Why he didn't have a different name around that? Because it was not a big deal.
It wasn't illegal.
Yeah, it wasn't illegal. So that's interesting. We'll see. That's going to carry us through the summer of the dog days of summer. We'll see what happens.
Well, it's by the way, today's top 5 is on this subject.
Is this also does this have anything to do with the no-hitters?
Yeah, that's what I think people do. Yeah, because if the spin rate, you've got guys throwing the ball harder than they've ever thrown it before. And when I was a kid, I remember reading about Nolan Ryan as if he was some this mythic god that rose up out of the dirt in Texas and could throw harder than anybody else. Now they're all Nolan Ryan as far as the speed goes, and tons of guys, triple digits, every pitch all night long.
Yeah.
So because of that, like,
I always
people are
thought that
going to
was
look
kind
at
of
it.
made up, but I guess it's not. I thought that maybe just some of the guns were juiced, what. Hey, our interview yesterday with Jim Grove, we'll probably have to replay that. The kind of response we've gotten from across the country with Jim Grove has been amazing. And I don't know if you heard it, but it's 31 minutes long. And he was with us yesterday, former Baylor head coach. And I have to tell you, I went back while I was just getting some things done, working on some marketing things for SicEm365 and others. I had that in the background, and I didn't have it just in the background like music. I listened to it again. And I'm telling you right now, I hope you had a chance to listen to it. If you didn't, I hope you do. We're going to play I'm going to read some of the responses at some point today on the show. Number to call is 254-339-1122. 254-339-1122. If you're a Baylor fan, how much did you appreciate Jim Grove in 2016? And how much do you think you appreciate him now? Is it any different with what you think of him? Not because of what he may have told us, but I got a feeling there was a lot of people, and I even said this to him yesterday with my question or asked him about, well, he was just a puppet. There are some people that felt like he was just a puppet. Might still feel that way. Then you start to hear from him. You start to get stories from Phil Bennett. Oh, by the way, Randy Clements, former Baylor offensive line coach, is going to join us at some point this week as well. And then you realize that he was kind of a babysitter, but come to find out that there was input from him when it comes to football, as there should have been. He was a hell of a coach at Wake Forest. But your thoughts about Jim Grove, if you want, 254-339-1122 to call in, and also the text line as well. All right, again, we'll come back a little bit later on. Lace Dunn joins us at 4. Sent him a text last night. Let's go. We'll have him today at 4. This is SicEm365 Radio. Father's Day weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace. That's one of the first places I think about when I think about Father's Day weekend. 4-piece, 12-ounce ribeye steaks, 2 pounds of 16 to 20 peeled and deveined shrimp. These are some good-looking, big, plump shrimp. And it's so easy. They're frozen. You put them under the water for just a second, maybe in a strainer, and they're ready to go on the grill, or if you want to saute them, whatever you want to do. A bag of B&B charcoal and $10 Be Kind coffee gift card. That's at Waco Custom Marketplace. All of that for $85. It's a Father's Day box at Waco Custom Marketplace. Again, 4 pieces of 12-ounce ribeye steaks, 2 pounds, 16 to 20 peeled and deveined shrimp, a bag of B&B charcoal, and $10 Be Kind coffee gift card as well. It's at 425 Lake Air Drive. And if you, in fact, call in before 6 o'clock today to get your order of 30-pound sacks of live crawfish to pick up on Friday afternoon or sometime on Saturday, you can do that before 6 o'clock today, but you have to call now. 30-pound bags of crawfish tails. These are some live big dudes of crawfish for your boil if you want to have one this weekend. The Bauer family does an incredible job. They distribute their food and product all over the state of Texas. I saw a truck up there when I was on my way to Florida, up in the Dallas and Fort Worth area. People rely on them at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Travel is back. Hit the road with big savings during the summer savings event at Richard Carr. The road is waiting. Explore America again in the space, safety, and luxury of a Buick SUV. And during the Richard Carr summer savings event, current Buick or GMC owners get 16% off a new 2021 Buick Encore, 13% on Encore GX, 9% on midsize Buick Envision, or 13% on a full-size Buick Enclave. Summer travel is back at the summer savings event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
All right, here we go. SicEm365 Radio. Rob Bolton, PGAtour.com. We'll have our picks for the U.S. Open that starts tomorrow at Torrey Pines. It's my desktop backdrop when my laptop freezes or whatever. It goes into delay or pause. It's a beautiful course. It's one I played a few years back in the year that San Diego, when Denver won their first Super Bowl, beat the Packers on that John Elway helicopter run. Remember, near the goal line?
Oh, yeah.
So I had a chance to play it one time. Of course, that was 25 years ago or so. But Torrey Pines, a great place to host the U.S. Open. First time since Tiger beat Rocco Mediate in that famous U.S. Open. So we'll have that today at 3:45. Now, I searched through my Twitter timeline, and then I just went to that homepage of it. And we've discussed this. Craig, you've discussed it. You're kind of fed up with it and kind of disgusted in it. I know those are maybe not the right words. Those sound so negative. But it is amazing to me how much of the timeline, and that means those to people who I follow, right? Or how much the recruiting part of high school football has gone from visits now to the camps, the various visits. It is now to a point where it's almost I'm just wanting not to shut it down, but I don't know how to keep up with it. It's almost making it to me, I'm numb to it. When did that start?
It's probably started longer ago than we really realize about it getting too big, but I have a policy on recruiting because it does bother me so greatly, and because it's so up and down, and you're talking about high school kids. I don't care what kids go where. It's their choice. They have now an opportunity to change without penalty, so that'll make this even more convoluted. So just talk to me on the signing days about who they're getting and the promposals that everybody's pulling off at every school. I don't really care about anymore. I mean, because, I'll just give Arch Manning as he's going to Clemson and Texas and, all these places. And, let's see where, the next generation of Manning goes. That's great. Just tell me where he goes when he goes and when he signs on the dotted line, because the other stuff is just hard for me to track.
But we have the umbrella of who we are.
I know.
Our site. I mean, what Grayson and Bryant and others do, Colt, Craig, you got your Bearcast. It is like the heartbeat of what we do. But as far as I'm talking about my social media timeline, it's gotten to the point where I don't even know how to keep up.
Well, it's because guys are actually out. You haven't seen that for a year. I mean, that's really all that it is. It's no different than it was 2 years ago, outside of, a couple of kids who made decommitment graphics, which they've been made fun of relentlessly for, and hopefully to the point to where no one does that again, because it's just stupid and it's a slap in the face to the schools that are recruiting you and offering you a free scholarship. So enough of punking the schools that actually took time and invested in you to the point where you committed to them, and now you're showing them up by decommitting. Like, we all need to agree to throw that trash out. That doesn't need to become a part of recruiting. But it's just, you're seeing it again. That's all that it is. We didn't have it for an entire year, and now anybody and everybody who's involved in recruiting that's getting any kind of attention is wanting to blast it out there, because think about it, you had a lot of 17 and 18-year-old kids that didn't get a lot of attention on social media for about a year, or what they figured they probably should have gotten. And now, this new class, they've got name, image, likeness that's down the pipeline, and it's a whole new world. And saw Billy Liucci from Texags arguing with some Texas fan, like he does on a daily basis, about who's better positioned for the new name, image, likeness, and how basically all it's doing is eliminating the bag men. And we're supposed to be celebrating this, and that's what it is. So, it's an interesting time period. I think recruiting's about to get more at your neck than ever before, because now schools are not only going to use their bag men to pay you to come to their school, but they can openly just say, hey, every time you post on Twitter, you get $500, that kind of a deal. And that's going to be used to some people's gain. And that's why if you're not ready for this new wave that's coming, then you're going to be missing out in a major way and potentially really hurting yourself if you're not geared up and ready to go like the A&Ms and the UTs are. But I just think it's the return. I think it's the fact that we haven't had it. I think it's, kids just wanting the attention, obviously, more so than ever. And I don't know how we break that trance that young people have with social media and how they feel, and adults too, that it provides some value to their lives. I think we got to get that thought out of people's heads, because way too many people are relying their happiness or their sadness on what's being posted online and not what's actually going on in life. And that kind of concerns me a little bit. But yeah, it's just the way of the world, basically.
And I do realize that, us working for a site that's lifeblood is recruiting, and me saying it's not my thing is kind of like if I worked at Popeyes and somebody said, what's good here? And be like, it's all about the same.
Like chicken. Chicken's okay.
It's not. I mean, I'm interested in it. It's hard for me to keep track.
No, I'll say it. It's not, we don't all have to, we don't all need to pretend to care about everything. Like, I sometimes dude, what do you care about? You'll know what I care about, but I'm not going to pretend to care about everything. I'm not going to pretend to have some great formed opinion on, if you were to throw out a soccer story. I'm not going to pretend to know it, but a bunch of people will do that and try to convince you. I'm just going to keep it all the way 100. And so when it comes to recruiting, there are things that annoy me about it, but there are people that get, a lot of enjoyment out of it, and it's fun to follow. The part that just, for me as somebody who's followed it for 25 years now, is the silly stuff like the decommitment graphic or the surprise visit, that fooled the other school. When they start playing games, that's when I lose interest.
I can help people's psychology of this as well, because no school is made or broken every single year on recruiting. I mean, you're going to have good classes and bad classes. Look, Alabama probably has some classes that Nick Saban is like, those guys were kind of duds. I mean, by his standards, But, there are, I remember when I was in college and Florida State would get commitments, and we would be like, oh, this guy's going to change everything. And we were really good. So, what's he going to change? And then you wind up he was a fine player, but he wasn't earth, whoever you're excited about wasn't earth-shattering. So then as I got older, it got to the point where well, just tell me how they are when they finally get there. Let's not put these expectations on these poor kids to do this.
Who was the guest we had on recently? Who... my God, it was a big-time player recently that talked about how Oklahoma, it was Roy Miller. Mm-hmm. When Miller wanted, he wasn't trying to seek attention. There was really no social media yet at the time. but he kind of just felt like Oklahoma had forgotten about him. And don't think that some of the other schools weren't, hey, have you heard from Oklahoma? Then he called the coach, and the Oklahoma coach was like truth serum.
But see,
it's still Oklahoma blew that, but they were like, listen, we're going to be okay with you or without you.
Yeah, and that was stupid on Oklahoma's part because they definitely could have used Roy Miller, and they got probably a bit too arrogant then, and they haven't won a national title since then. So that was probably, that was fresh off of 2000. They're probably feeling themselves in the early 2000s. They're kicking UT's butt. They can get pretty much anybody out of Texas, and they got arrogant, obviously. But, I just think it's some of the drama stuff that's unnecessary. I don't need to lose sleep over where a 17-year-old is going to college. I have to take a step back and realize I can be interested in it. I'll look at it and read about it on SicEm365. Grace and I will talk about it. We'll interview the kid if he commits, but I'm not going to burn energy on this kid's taking a visit here, and get caught up in it. There's people that get caught up in it, and that's their thing. Like I get caught up in a pro wrestling or something like that. So it's a hobby for a lot of people, and that's why it's become such a big industry. But I think we do just need to sometimes be careful of how much attention is being given to all of these young men or young women that are being recruited. It's almost reaching professional athlete level status, and now you add in the name, image, likeness. That graphic that somebody put up, I mean, if Sam Ehlinger were to get paid $5,000 of Twitter advertisements, he could make nearly $80,000. Mm-hmm. $80,000 last year as the quarterback at Texas. So things are going to change mightily because that's going to change people. That's going to change a lot of things. And so it's a whole new world out there, and recruiting is going to be a big part of it.
It's gone from where they didn't get anything at all, players, student athletes, which may have not been right, and some people would argue that, no, they got a scholarship and all that, to this. Woo! And now you'll have to have a correction at some point. When we come back, Rob Bolton, the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines. Rob will join us on Zoom. We'll have our picks for the U.S. Open. And don't forget now, coming up at 4 o'clock, LaceDarius Dunn, former Baylor star. He could throw it up, put it up, shoot it up, and also score a bunch. He's going to join us on the Baylor National Championship run and much more in his time he has spent recently as a pro in Israel. This is SicEm365 Radio. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Ken Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, and this is how you can find out if you need what he provides. What he provides is testosterone. How do you know if you need it? Go get tested. Go get a lab test. Go get blood work, and he will look at your results, and then if your testosterone level's too low, he can put you in a program to increase your testosterone level so you can become the high-performance man you want to be. 1 out of every 3 men have some sort of symptom, and maybe all of them when it comes to low testosterone. Lethargic, your energy level's not what it used to be. You're not sleeping well, and also your sex drive. All of that could be at once, or maybe 1 or 2, or like I said, 1, 2, or all. It's PettyClinicLowT.com. Go to their site, top left corner, number and email. Tell them Smokey sent you. They'll get your lab work set up, an appointment, get the test results, and if your testosterone level's too low, he can put you in a program to increase your testosterone level so you can be the high-performance man you want to be at PettyClinicLowT.com.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
It's an exciting time at Allen Samuels to enjoy the Chrysler Pacifica Minivan Month for the 2021 Chrysler 300 with values up to $5,250 or 0% for 84 months. Check out the 2021 Dodge Charger GT with values up to $4,250 or 0% for 72 months. Allen Samuels, the award-winning customer service Central Texas dealer, located at 201 West Loop 340, online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Come by, let's be friends.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
This U.S. Open update is brought to you by Cottonwood Creek Golf Course with the same great layout. It's time to lower your handicap. Play golf at Cottonwood Creek with a staff and facilities ready to host your group or tournament. Call the Pro Shop at 254-745-6009. Cottonwood Creek on Bagby Avenue next to Waco ISD Stadium.
All right. Cottonwood Creek also Thursday, June 24th from 10 until 2 by appointment only. Go to tailormadegolf.com, the TaylorMade Fitting Day at Cottonwood Creek off Bagby next to Waco ISD Stadium in Waco. We're now joined. Rob Bolton joins us via technology, PGAtour.com. Of course, we're going to have our picks for the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines. Hayden Bumpus is here in studio because Armstrong is at Sims Beach. So he's not available. Craig and Paul, I'm David Smoak. Craig is the defending champion. He won the he won the U.S. Open, right? He won the PGA Championship going away. Rob, first of all, Torrey Pines, the famous Tiger Rocco Mediate final, that great finish. Your thoughts about that course hosting the U.S. Open?
Hey, guys. What one of the seminal memories for all of us who are old enough to remember it, in golf, really, and it's 13 years ago already. It's crazy. Torrey Pines has hosted so many terrific championships at every level of golf, but it's really the place that Tiger Woods built, or at least, put on the map for professional golf fans. So it's going to present wonderfully again this week. It has a renovation of the last couple of years. Reese Jones came back, lengthened it. Although it's going to play just a little bit shorter than the Farmers Insurance Open, it's still going to be a place where long hitters should shine. So we're going to have, typically for the Farmers, we have long hitters populate the leaderboard. And granted, a lot of the guys are hitting it long these days anyway. But the USGA's touch and what it wants to do to make sure that all skill sets have a chance. That's going to be the really fun part.
How much does the way the U.S. Open is set up by the USGA and Torrey Pines, are they not known for small greens?
I don't think that's the first thing you think about when you think of Torrey Pines. Obviously, you think of Tiger. You think of the 08 U.S. Open. You think of the views and all of the other things that go along with all the accoutrements. But the greens are only 5,000 square feet. on average. So that puts the premium on making sure that you hit these fairways with grass that is extended to 5 inches in places on either side of these fairways. So long and straight always works, but it's going to force guys to maybe rethink some of the tee shots, or at least back off the driver on a couple of the holes, so that they're not facing long irons into these small greens.
All right, you ready to go, guys? Anything else?
Yeah, let's do it. No.
All right, so we'll have the first pick is Rob. Second pick, I get that, which means that we have not done well. The third pick is Armstrong, and then Paul and Craig. And Rob, you get the first, and then you'll not get a pick again until 10.
Okay, got it. First of all, Craig, congratulations on your championship. I'm not buying the whole, hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined vibe that you gave us at the PGA. You come in, you don't know a lot about golf, you don't follow it, and then just school us. And on the last day. So congratulations. Well deserved from the guy who won the first 2 majors of the season. Here we go for gunning for 3 on the season, and the obvious pick is Jon Rahm, so I'm going to make sure that he's mine.
All right, Jon Rahm, who had the lead at Memorial, and then, of course, COVID protocol took him out of the mix, and I will take Brooks Koepka.
You son of a... I'm just so mad.
All right.
Brooksy.
All right,
Hayden, it's your turn.
I'm going to take Xander Schauffele.
Schauffele goes to Armstrong Bumpus.
I will take Colin Morikawa.
Morikawa to Paul. Craig, you get 2 picks.
Go Rory and go, let's see here, DeChambeau.
All right. That's not bad. My God. The 5 and 6 picks are Rory, McIlroy, and Bryson DeChambeau. All right, back to you, Paul.
I really want to take Dustin Johnson here. I really do, but I've had such bad luck with him. I don't know if I should let the past dictate. Last time, I mean, he's what kept me out of the weekend. And then, of course, the time that I picked him the Masters, I mean, I probably almost killed him. So I'm going to go with Louis Oosthuizen just for Dustin Johnson's sake.
All right. Louis Oosthuizen at 4. Back to you, Hayden.
I'm happy to take Dustin Johnson.
DJ for Armstrong Bumpus. I will take, oh, my God. Let me look at one more name to make sure. I am going to take Jordan Spieth.
Interesting so far. By the way, Craig, I might want to take back the fact that I'm chasing number 3. How do you get Rory and DeChambeau 5-6 overall? That's pretty impressive.
I agree.
I don't know who you're paying off at that station, but I'd
Rob,
like a piece of that at some point.
Don't blow up my spot, Rob.
All right, so sticking with the power rankings, 9 and 10 are sitting right there for me, so it's going to be easy. Reed, then JT.
Yeah, Reed won there earlier, right? Isn't he that one?
That's the one in by 5 strokes in late January. Yeah.
I don't know where he is on your power rankings because I kind of have him on the top of my mind. I have the expert picks, but I'm going to take Tony Finau, who I think.
Are you doing this to me?
Because I'm ahead of you. I took your Florida State guy.
You also
took Armstrong's Jordan Spieth.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to take Tony Finau. All right? Back to you, Hayden.
I'm going with the kid, Will Zalatoris.
Oh, okay. Zalatoris, man, he's steady. Paul?
I'll take Victor Hovland.
All right. And Craig, you get 2 picks, and then you're done.
I'll go Webb Simpson, and trying to see who all has been picked already. Let's go. Let's go Mark Leishman.
Okay.
I'm going to go Justin Rose.
All right. Armstrong Bumpus.
Patrick Cantlay.
Patrick Cantlay. The Zalatoris one got me a little bit, boys.
Now you know how it feels.
little curveball.
Paul, did you take Dustin Johnson yet?
No. I let the Hayden Armstrong group.
I'm going to take Mickelson.
There you go.
I am flipping it with Phil. All right?
Wow. I didn't think I'd live long enough to see that. You got to give me a minute. First of all, Paul, I'm surprised you didn't take Tyrrell Hatton. You've had so much success with him too. He's still on the board. I'm gonna avoid that pitfall though, even though I love the guy for lots of reasons. You got to take the Masters champion here because Greg took Leishman. I'm going to take Hideki to round it out.
Can you believe that Hideki, last time we did this for the PGA Championship, Rob, was not taken? I don't think by anybody. Obviously, Mickelson was not taken. I don't even know if Koepka was taken. And then, of course, all of them with Matsuyama. Okay, now, Rob, it's your magic now. You dissect what you think in who has stolen the crown.
Well, I think Hayden's sandbagging us a little bit. Guy just slips in here. Armstrong not around. Hey, I think I'll draft if you need me. And then he gets that lineup with Schauffele and Zalatoris, Cantlay, and DJ. But look, we're all strong, right? It's the U.S. Open. We expect to be. If we win another 2 rounds, 4 rounds, I think then we're going to start to separate people like, Craig and I from the rest of us. But I think most of all, we have guys that all of us expect to play well because they're all terrific golfers on a course that's really going to reward all of them. I think David, honestly, I love you and I love your teams most of the time, but you have Spieth and Mickelson who are probably the biggest question marks for different reasons on this course and at this time. At the same time, they both present as potentially the best 2 stories in the field should they break through. So there's something for all of us here.
Well, I was just being evil. I took Koepka to keep him away from Paul, Spieth from Armstrong. Finau, I did a little studying on him. He's played well. And then Mickelson, just because I panicked and forgot about Matsuyama. That's the only reason.
I'll tell you, here's my only goal outside of winning. My only goal is to not be watching one of my golfers who's 2 shots off the lead with 2 holes to play, and then I look in to see where he is, and he's like in the sand. I'm like, listen, if he just goes out of the sand and it goes right in the hole, we're fine. We're fine. I don't want to start thinking about miracle shots that have to happen for someone to make the cut.
Think about, Rob, what you said, though. With Koepka, Spieth, Finau, and Mickelson, and I have a questionable team because there's a couple of wild cards there because you never know with those 2.
Well, you brought it up with the PGA Championship with Koepka and Matsuyama, who probably went undrafted, I think. But that's the thing. That's the thing about golf. If these guys haven't played well recently or haven't played in a couple of weeks, we kind of forget about them because that's just the nature of the sport. So it's good to be prepared on really, top-notch drafts like this one.
All right. So Craig was able to get Rory and DeChambeau.
Yeah.
Simpson, of course,
about him.
Is there something that we know the Zalatoris is a young and up-and-coming guy. Is there someone we missed on? Is there someone that jumps out of the page, Rob? I don't see anybody that just jumps out that we screwed up here.
That's a relative question because Webb Simpson went undrafted, and he's a former champion at the U.S. Open. Granted, it's been 9 or 10 years now, but and he's been playing well. He has I think he leads or second on tour in the all-around. Actually, I think Schauffele is number 1 in the all-around. So that's what you expect at a tournament like this. As the old saying goes, the USGA wants to reveal the best player of the week, and Simpson has been that often enough that he should have been drafted. So it's possible, while Simpson may not present as a strong contender for the Open Championship in a month, we may be talking about him the same way we're talking about BK and Matsuyama for the PGA Championship this week.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right.
Best of luck, Rob.
9 things about Torrey Pines South. We'll give those to you. Rob Bolton, as always, Rob, thank you very much for your knowledge and insight and also the power rankings, the expert picks on PGAtour.com. The Torrey Pines, Paul, named for a tree and a man. The Torrey Pine, which is featured in the trophy of the Farmers Insurance Open, is native only to a 36-hole golf complex, Torrey Pine State Reserve next door in Santa Rosa Island. Although early Spanish explorers certainly knew of the tree, Dr. Charles Christopher Perry, a botanist for the U.S.-Mexico Boundary Survey, officially discovered it. And so his mentor was Dr. John Torrey, who wrote a book, A Flora of North America. I know we couldn't have gotten to the 4 o'clock hour without that.
I think if you're a botanist and they name a tree after you, that's high praise.
It was a military training camp in 1941, Camp Callan. It was a race course. A father-son team built it. So those are Phil Mickelson has been very vocal about. He's a San Diego native, but he's not all that successful at Torrey Pines. All right, when we come back, former Baylor. The guy could shoot it from everywhere. You wonder where he would be. He's just a fantastic scorer. He's been in Israel the last couple of years. He's been around overseas playing basketball. One of the most dynamic scorers in Baylor history. LaceDarius Dunn, next on SicEm365 Radio.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Wagler, oh, goodness, all nylon.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
When you think about some of the more dynamic, explosive scorers, not that he didn't do more than that, LaceDarius Dunn comes to mind when you think about the history of Baylor men's basketball? We have spoken, interviewed, and had segments with a lot of former players, especially during the run that Baylor's had, and on this show, SicEm365 Radio. But this is one on the bucket list that we now can check off, and thank goodness a chance to speak to LaceDarius Dunn with SicEm365 Radio. Lace, how you been, man?
Hey, my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me. I've been well. What about yourself, Paul?
Doing very well. Paul, Catalina, Craig, and David Smoak with you on SicEm365 Radio. What did the national championship run and the night that Baylor sealed it against Gonzaga mean to you?
Oh, man, it was amazing. It meant the world to me. It really felt like I was a part of that team, and I had won me a championship. And I kept up with them guys, of course, every step of the way. And to see those guys go all the way and bring back a national championship, that's amazing, man. And like I say, for me, it just made me feel like I was a part of those guys' group. It made me feel alive and just happy as I can be for the team, for Scott Drew, and just for the Baylor history of basketball. It was amazing.
Your team in 2010 was the first one who maybe opened, at least the universities, maybe not the basketball world's eyes completely, to, oh man, this Baylor team might actually do something. I know that, the Duke loss is something that you guys will probably always talk about, but what did that season mean overall in the long term to what you guys were trying to accomplish with Scott Drew and making Baylor a real player on the national scene?
Well, that team you talking about, it was an amazing team with the guys that I was a part of. Tweety Carter, FAU, the Quincy AC, all those great guys that I was playing with at the time. And I think that was the team that really set the spark and really got the attention that Baylor was trying to get, due to the fact that us making it to the Elite Eight, losing to Duke. Duke got us out of the championship that year, and we're going to always say that. So, but that team on that year was amazing. And like I said, I think that set us up for the attention that we needed, the recruits that we needed for the future to come after us and really get us to what we needed to be, which was right now national champ.
Lace, that Duke game has been talked about ever since it happened. I mean, that has been a bugaboo. It almost feels like this year's title doesn't make up for that, but in some ways, there's like a feeling of vindication. Do you feel that in any way?
Yes, sir, I do. I do feel that. They most definitely made up for it, but at the same time, we could have been national champs twice. Mm-hmm. Instead of once, we could have been twice. So, like I say, they definitely made up for it for sure by coming back and doing an amazing job that they did, man. Like I say, from Scott Drew all the way down to Charlie in the weight room, and they did an amazing job with those guys.
Obviously, Baylor has done a great job in Louisiana. With Jared Butler, the most recent, obviously you, Tweety, among others, and there's others in between. How did they make that impact? How did that pipeline begin, and how much does it mean to you that you helped start it?
I mean, Louisiana, the pipeline started with Tweety Carter. He was the head of the pipeline because he went there before me, and he went there before all the rest of the guys that were from Louisiana that attended Baylor. So it started with Tweety. Tweety go there. Me and Tweety being good friends in high school playing against each other. He talked me into coming there, and so I came, and then from there, the pipeline just busted open. I think Scott Drew was like, we need to look more deeper into Louisiana and see what type of talent that they got down there because they do have talent coming from Louisiana. So, like I said, the pipeline started with Tweety, and for me to be a part of the pipeline, I mean, it was always something that I wanted to do, was go to a program, make my own name at the program, change the program. And I think as of today, I did a great job of being a part of that changing in that program.
Matt Driscoll told me a story one time about your confidence as a shooter, that he came up to you one day and was trying to kind of give you a pep talk. Like, Lace, you have a beautiful shot. God came down and gifted you with a shot. And it's not something, and you just said to him, it's what I do, coach. Is that true? Is that true story?
Matt, that's a true story. Matt Driscoll is my guy. Amazing guy to be around, man. And like I said, me having that confidence coming in, and what he don't know, they only built the confidence up in me more by me being there and being around those guys. And those guys started telling me, you the best shooter, you this, you that. That ain't do nothing but just build my confidence up more. You know, so being around those guys, they didn't do nothing but help me with my confidence, which it was already like through the roof. So they ain't do nothing but put a boost up to it, man. And they did a great job of just helping me out and keeping me focused and keeping me with my confidence that I'm the best shooter on the planet. Somebody got met.
Have you ever seen a shot you didn't think you could make?
I never seen a shot. Scott Drew would tell you, it's not a shot that I don't think I would take. I would take any shot. Not just make. Scott would tell you, he would take any crazy shot because he thinking he going to make any shot that he takes. So for me, and that's part of my confidence, you know, my confidence being so high. Like every time I get the ball off and it gets to the rim, if don't nobody block it or anything like that, 100% sure it's going in, if you ask me. And no matter what type of shot it is also, it's going in. So, yeah, that's the confidence that I always had.
You talked about how happy you were for the program and how you felt a part of that championship like a lot of other former players did. But, you know, mentioning Scott Drew, the journey that he's been on, Lace, you know, there were times when people thought it's never going to be a team that can win a championship or this or that or whatever, all that he had to slog through when he first arrived. I mean, how much of an impact has Scott Drew had on your life?
Man, Scott, like I said, from the time that I signed, even before that time, just seeing Scott go through so much at Baylor, so much adversity, you know, and being able to just stick it out, stick to it, you know, trust his process, you know, trust the things that he's doing among the program. It was amazing, man, because like I say, he went through a lot. He went through a lot, you know, to build a program, to get the program to where it's at today compared to the past history of the program. Scott Drew did an amazing job. And for me coming to Baylor as a young kid, coming around a great group of coaches, starting with Scott, he really just helped me out, not just on the court, off the court. Really just teaching me how to be a man, how to be a great guy. You know, the little things just really helped me out, how to communicate with others, how to get along with others. So Scott, on me, was amazing, man. He really set me up. He really put me in the best situation that he could have ever put me in. He really treated me like a son. So for Scott and me, it was amazing, man. If I can do it all over again, I'll go back. If they give me another 4 years, I'll go back. I wish they'd give me another 4 years right now. I'll go back. I want to play with Jared Butler.
Hey, I tell you, Baylor fans would love that. They'd sign up in a second for sure.
You know what? If you do that, you'll get back you'll go back to being the all-time Big 12 scorer again because you had that record, and then Buddy Hield broke it. He's only 6 ahead of you. Go play a game. That's like 2 possessions for you, right? Yeah. 2 threes. That's 2 threes. Did you happen to see the shot Kevin Durant hit last night as the game was winding down at the shot clock? Because I had already traded a text or two with you. Did you see that?
I called the bucket before he even shot it. I called the bucket on the double clutch. I said, that's something I would do. Those shots is like normal shots. Like, you know, like that didn't bother Caddie that he had the double clutch to make that 3. Same thing with me. Like, I would take that shot 3 times in a row, double clutching in the air, and guarantee you I'm going to drop 2 out of 3, if not 3 out of 3. So, yeah, I saw that shot, man. That's what KD do. That's KD, man. Amazing guy. Amazing guy.
What has the last decade been like traveling the world playing basketball for you?
It's been amazing. By the grace of God for me to be traveling the world, living in different countries, doing what I love to do, and also making a living. It's been amazing, something that I never dreamed of, never could even imagine, you know. So for me to be able to travel the world, I done lived in 6 different countries, traveling the world. I done played with 10 different seasons. So my 10 years have been amazing, man. Something that I'll never forget, something I can pass on, talk to my son about, you know, in the future. So for me to be able to do that, like I said, it's been amazing. I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
How much has that enriched you as a human being, just seeing what other cultures, countries, people, everything go through in different parts of the world, not just here in America? How much did that, you know, initially open up your eyes, and how much has that, you know, helped you evolve as a person and kind of knowing things that maybe people who haven't been traveling abroad would know about?
I mean, like you say, it's been for me to be able to travel and see the different things, the different cultures, you know. So it's just been, like I said, for the most part, it just keep me grounded and keep me humble. Because like you say, just like we living over here, man, on the other side is life going on, whether people living good lives or people living low-level lives, you know. So the most part, to go over there and see the high life, see the low life, it just really keep me grounded and keep me thankful to be able to be in the position that I'm in, So for the most part, like I said, it keeps me humble. It keeps me grounded, and me traveling over the rail, it helped me come a long way. Like I say, from being a man, from being out on my own, across the rail, having to live on my own, connecting with a whole different lot of people, communication, different relationships, different conversations. Like it just been real different. So, and for me to adapt, like I said, it helped me out a lot.
I sent a text to Jerome Tang and Scott Drew. I said, Lace Dunn today at 4. Tell me something about him I may not know. And Coach Drew said, and Jerome Tang, about the scouting report we showed him before the Kansas State game. What is that story?
Wow. The Kansas State game, I'm going to keep it short. We go there to play Kansas State. We go to the arena for our little walk through our little practice or whatever. Prior to us leaving the gym, one of our trainers signed one of Kansas State reports about us, about me and my guys. So we found this, and on the report, it talks about what each individual guy can and what individual guy can do. So for me, it had on there, Lace Dunn, he can't guard, he will never pass the ball, just all type of crazy stuff. So they come in the locker room and read their report out to me out loud, and I say, okay. I go out there to Kansas State. I think I broke the record. I had 9 threes. I think I finished with 36. I made Frank Martin go crazy. I made him almost have a heart attack. I think I had 9 threes that game. It was something crazy. And of course we beat them down for sure. And we got up out of there. But yeah, we ended up finding their scout report, and they was just talking crazy on their scout report. They fired me up. I couldn't wait.
I'm sorry. Did you happen to have a couple of assists? Did you pass the ball that night against Caddie?
No. They had that part correct. There's no passing part. That was correct. And I went out and did just that. I didn't pass the ball to Curtis Zerr. Ain't nobody. I need the ball. Just pass me the ball. So they had that part correct on the scout report. That was the only part that was correct. He's not gonna pass. So.
Oh my! That's hilarious. Yeah, they had it right, but the fact you went out and burned them pretty good as well. We're talking to Lace. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Lace,
they had it correct.
Lace Dunn was when eligibility ended, he was the all-time leading scorer in Big 12 history in 2011. 5 years later, by 6 points, Buddy Hield of Oklahoma eventually passed him up on that scoring list, but he could absolutely, and was a part of Baylor taking it from one level to the next, in the continuation of where they are today.
Lace, what did you think of, you mentioned Jared Butler a little while ago, how'd you love to play for him, but what did you think watching the guard play this year between Davion Mitchell now, who's looking like he could end up being an NBA lottery pick here in a few weeks, obviously Mark Vital down low as a force, just your thoughts on some of the individuals like Jared and Davion that you saw this past season?
Davion and Jared, man, I'm trying to describe them, man. But I just like they energy, and how hungry they was. And if you were paying attention to the game, I'm sure you was. You can see it every game. Those guys came out with the same energy and attention every game. Starting with Mark Vital. Mark Vital was the head of the snake. He come out there, do the dirty work, and get those guys going. But Mitchell, Butler, all those guys, I love watching those guys play for 40 minutes. So they're gonna give you 40 minutes of pressure. And that's what I like about those guys. It's 40 minutes of pressure. And Jared Butler, that's my guy, man. I like to see him play, man. He just special. Mitchell's special. But Jared, that's my guy. He's special, man. I love watching those guys play.
I mentioned Louisiana, and I should have mentioned Mark Vital. There's another connection to Louisiana who's been amazing for Baylor.
Yes, sir. He is part of the Louisiana Animals Club. That's what they call it. Louisiana Animals Club.
Hey,
yes, sir.
Speaking of Louisiana, you guys played the first 2 rounds in 2010 in New Orleans, right? Was that New Orleans? You guys were there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It was in New Orleans.
Yeah. I didn't get to go. I got to go to Houston when you got there, but I didn't get to go to New Orleans. But I remember hearing that pretty much the entire city of Monroe came to those games.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was self-explanatory. So it wasn't nothing to talk about. Anywhere that close to to my people, man, the whole city coming out, and it's been like that since high school. Anywhere close and they can get to, yeah, we bring the whole city out. And not to mention, New Orleans is 4 hours away from my hometown. So it ain't like they just had to, get out and drive with the block. They had to drive 4 hours to come watch us play. And I still brought the whole city down. Yeah.
Lace, not everything has always been easy for you. You've had some bumps in the road. You've had to overcome a few things. Baylor was with you and committed to you and loyal to you. How much did their loyalty to you when you did have a couple of bumps in the road? What did that mean to you? What did that teach you as a man?
Yeah, like you say, man, they was unbelievable. And me going through my obstacles in my life, man, always been sweet. And to this day, I wouldn't trade it for nothing. Everything that I done went through, everything that I done been through, I wouldn't trade it for nothing because it really taught me every step of the way. It really changed me every step of the way. And speaking on Baylor's behalf, just for them to be there every step of the way, for me, it was unbelievable. Like I told you, they always treated me like a son, and that's for everybody. They always treated me like a son. They was there every step of the way, no matter what it was. And they just always made me feel like I didn't have no worries about them for us, turning their back or not being there and things like that. I never had to worry about that till this day. So those guys, like you say, they was amazing, man. They was amazing. And my obstacles in my life, like I said, I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world because to this day, it made me who I am today.
Now, the team you played for in Israel is Modi'in, is that right? I asked you that. You said
yes, sir.
Modi'in in Israel. You've been at 6 different countries. Do you have one that you perhaps enjoyed more than the others?
The Holy Land. Israel is my favorite. The Holy Land is my favorite all the way around the board. I mean, for one, to be able to be on the ground where Jesus walked, so on and so forth, that's enough. And to be able to play and to be able to travel and see these different things that you read about, people read about in the Bible, people talk about in the Bible, to really be standing on ground and really be seeing it for myself is amazing. So the Holy Land, Israel, is by far the best place for me to play. I love it.
Are they big, crazy basketball fans there?
Oh, yeah. They crazy. They crazy. They crazy up in there, man. They get the rocking up in there. Crazy, like some soccer fans. They crazy.
All right.
Yes, sir. And I love that. They don't do nothing to get me going. So I love coming out and seeing the gym full. I love that part.
Yes, sir. I don't know if you've heard this, but Baylor is, at least there are plans that they are going to build a new field house. It's going to be off I-35 right there on the other side of 35. And this is something that's been simmering, and now it gets to be more reality. Your thoughts about where the basketball programs, of course, the women have had incredible success as well, and how they might be a new field house. And what would that mean if you were a young Lace Dunn and you saw this brand new place?
And an arena, because field house, sometimes people think of like a field house, like a locker room, but like full-blown arena, they're just calling it a field house.
State-of-the-art, amazing facility.
It would be amazing. Waco right now has changed a lot. If you go down through Baylor campus right now, compared to 2007 when I first got there, totally different. Coming off I-35, entering into the campus, starting with the football facility they put over there, that's amazing. But now they're going to put another facility. It ain't going to do nothing but make it better, man. Like you say, Waco deserved that. Baylor basketball, Baylor history programs from the girls to the boys, they deserve that. Scott Drew, the girls basketball coach, whoever that would be in the near future, I mean, they deserve all of that because they've been doing amazing over the last couple of years. So for me to see that, I would love to see it.
Lace, I think you might have still been overseas. Were you overseas when they had the parade here to honor the national championship team?
Yes, sir. I was still overseas. Yes, sir. But I watched it live. I stayed up to 4 a.m. to watch it live.
What would that have been like to be a part of that? Like a lot of former players who were able, even 40, 50 years ago, that came back to be a part of that.
I was jealous. I was jealous. I'm watching it live like, wow. I would have just caught a flight there and give me about a good 24 hours and I can come right back. If I could have did that, I would have done that. Like, just send me there just to hit the parade and I can come right back. But that, like I said, I watched it live. It was amazing. And to see the older guys that came before me and before the guys that were before me, it was amazing to see those guys out there at the parade, to see those guys together, just to see the atmosphere and the vibe that was going on at the parade. I mean, it was amazing for me to just watch it live through my phone. It was amazing.
I don't remember the commercial. LaceDarius Dunn, former Baylor guard with us on SicEm365 Radio. What was the commercial? Two stars. They're about to go one-on-one with each other, and then the thing goes black. You remember that? The picture goes. Let me ask you this. It's going to be a commercial. Davion Mitchell and Lace Dunn. You know how he plays defense, and obviously he became really, really good offensively. You and Davion Mitchell one-on-one, how much fun would that be?
Woo! It's gonna be a fight. That's gonna be a fight. me knowing Davion and me knowing me, that's gonna be a ape against an ace. But me being the older guy and being the more experienced, the veteran guy, me, I think I'm gonna be the ape that be standing up at the end of the fight.
Got the crafty tricks.
Yeah, it's kind of like that thing. You might be younger, bigger, better, faster, stronger than me, but I'm older and smarter than you are in a way. Oh,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm gonna figure it out. I guarantee you that.
Well,
I'm gonna figure it out.
Well, you've done that, and continued luck. Will you be going back to Israel? Is that your plans for another year, or is that kind of go year by year?
It go year by year, but as of right now, 90% chance I'll be headed back to Israel, but we'll see how it goes. I kind of got like a bidding war going on due to the season I just had. So
hey, absolutely.
We'll
yeah, you did.
We'll see.
Yeah, you scored a lot, again, as usual. Hey, Lace, it's fantastic to have you on. Thanks for all of what you gave us, transparency with a lot of things you did and also what you've been through. It's fantastic. Can't wait for everyone else to hear this that couldn't hear it live, and good luck to you, okay? It
was my pleasure, man. I appreciate you guys, and you guys take care and keep doing great things.
You too. That's LaceDarius Dunn. 2008, 9, 10, 11 with Baylor, was a part of that Elite Eight team, part of that moment. And like we brought up, I mean, again, it doesn't completely erase the charge block, whatever, but it sure does feel a lot better.
That is a confident man.
Man. Yeah.
He is a confident man. I mean, you just and in a fun way, not in a, you got to have that. When you are a catch and shoot shooter, you have to believe every time that it's going in. That's a hard thing to get to. I mean, look, Adam Flagler, who's on the background today. The biggest thing with Adam Flagler is he's a fantastic shooter, but he didn't have that belief that it's going in when it came out of his hand for a while, and they had to make him shoot it more.
Yeah.
They never had to do that with Lace Dunn. They, in fact, had to, it's okay sometimes to not shoot it.
Well, guys like him, it's like certain positions in sports. A pitcher's going to give up a home run. A cornerback's going to get beat on a deep throw. A quarterback's going to throw a pick. A kicker's going to miss a kick. It's can you go back and do it again without blinking because of anything that you've been through. LaceDarius Dunn, we have a bucket list of all the former players, and there's 1 or 2, maybe 5 left, and we're going to get all of them, and we continue to talk about not just the national championship. I know it's been 2 months, but what the hell? We'll be doing that for a long, long time, and it's great to get Lace Dunn. He was with Modi'in in Israel and had a great year, and you heard it. Now there's a bidding war on his services for the upcoming season. All right, when we come back, we continue. We have
Micah Fugitt.
Micah Fugitt. He's a Central Texan. He's on the bag of Doug Gim. He's a Texas golfer on the PGA Tour trying to earn his card. He has been with Billy Horschel. He was a part of that big-time payoff when Horschel won the Tour Championship. He's caddied at Torrey Pines. He told me maybe 15 times. His thoughts about the layout of Torrey Pines and how it will be set up for a U.S. Open. That's next on SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They've got a great summer savings event going on right now over on the lot, and you can check it out by heading on over to Richard Carr, or they can bring a test drive to you. They've been offering that for quite a while now, and hopefully many of you have taken advantage. Even though things are opening back up, you can still get that test drive brought to where you are. So not only are they sitting around with lots of deals, they're realizing as well over at Richard Carr that a lot of people are starting to hit the road, summer vacations, summer trips with the family, or just maybe on your own, whatever the case may be. People are getting out and about on the road. So with travel back, they're bringing back some more savings during the summer savings event, and you can get on the road right now with space, safety, and luxury in a Buick. The Buick SUVs are all priced to move at Richard Carr. Current Buick or GMC owners get 16% off new 2021 Buick Encores, 13% on Encore GXs, 9% on midsize Buick Envisions, or 13% on full-size Buick Enclaves. And Richard Carr is also loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks. All pre-owned cars and trucks are priced to move during the summer savings event, with multiple cars and trucks priced under $230 a month for qualified buyers. And each pre-owned vehicle goes through a 172-point inspection before it hits the lot. With dozens of lenders, they say yes when others say no, and 100% credit approval is always the goal. Richard Carr is your local hometown dealership, so give them a chance to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes on new cars and trucks, and superior service after the sale. So come by and take a test drive, or once again, let them bring the test drive to you. It's the summer savings event going on all month at Richard Carr.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don's Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
This U.S. Open update is brought to you by Cottonwood Creek Golf Course with the same great layout. It's time to lower your handicap. Play golf at Cottonwood Creek with a staff and facilities ready to host your group or tournament. Call the Pro Shop at 254-745-6009. Cottonwood Creek on Bagby Avenue next to Waco ISD Stadium.
As I mentioned, Tailor-Made Fitting Day is a week from tomorrow, June 24th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. appointment only. sign up for that event at Cottonwood Creek Golf Course at TaylorMadeGolf.com. We're now joined by Micah Fugitt, Central Texan PGA Tour caddy, been a part of the tour for a long time. Doug Gim, who is a former Texas star and also trying to get himself fully entrenched into the PGA Tour, PGA Tour, is who Micah has helped and caddied, and he joins us now on SicEm365 Radio. So how many times, I asked you how many times you've had caddied at Torrey Pines over the years, and so this is not like you've been there more than 2 or 3 times, about 15 or 20?
At least 15 times for the Farmers Insurance Tournament, and I was actually there in 2008, the one and only other time that the U.S. Open has been there, so I have quite a bit of experience around that place, yeah.
How do you think they will, I guess, modify the course for the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines?
I guess the last renovation they did was a couple of years ago. They rearranged some of the bunkering. They lengthened number 10. They added a new tee box on number 15. Pushed it. I think it stretches to about 500 to 510 yards now as a par 4. But other than that, they haven't done a lot since the last U.S. Open they had there. Of course, once the USGA gets a hold of it, it's going to become a lot firmer, and the rough is going to be obviously a lot taller and thicker than what it plays in January when we're there for the regular tour event.
I mentioned this. We had Rob Bolton, who writes and does a lot for the PGA Tour.com and also the tour itself, about Torrey Pines' greens. I've played it one time. This is back in 1996. A lot has changed. But aren't they small greens? I'm not sure if they're like Pebble Beach small. But if you go U.S. Open with high rough and then you have small greens, how difficult does that make it?
Yeah, well, obviously, the smaller the surface, the harder the greens are going to be able to hit with the firmness of them. And compared to Pebble Beach, they're a little bit bigger, I think. Pebble Beach's greens are the smallest, probably right up there with Harbor Town and Hilton Head that we play all year. But yeah, Torrey Pines, most of the time, if you can hit the middle of the greens, you're going to have no more than 30 feet for birdie, and that's really all you're trying to do in the U.S. Open is just hit fairways and greens.
How does the U.S. Open strategy change from the other majors? And obviously, it's only been a year or so with the PGA being in front of it, but with those two in front of it now, how do you change after you've played two into what the U.S. Open does, which is obviously a lot different?
Yeah, the U.S. Open is obviously a whole lot different. The PGA of America, I think they do a good job setting up the courses, and if guys happen to shoot low numbers, then they kind of let the course play out. Is where the USGA, they can, if guys go too low on the first round, they're going to cut the water off and tuck the pins a little more severe spots, and their biggest thing is protecting par as much as they can. And then, of course, Augusta is being in the same date. Is obviously everyone saw how much more difficult it played in the spring than it did in the fall, just because of the firmness of the course. And that's what makes these U.S. Open courses usually a lot tougher. Is they firm up the fairways and the greens. That just makes everything smaller because everything's bouncing and running off everywhere.
When you were there in 2008, was that with Billy at the U.S. Open? I can't remember the timeline of where you were.
No, that was with Joe Ogilvy. I spent 2003 to 2010 with Joe Ogilvy.
Okay.
And then I started working for Billy in 2011.
So I've always wondered this, and you have to be in amazing shape, and this is such a simple question, but at the same time, there are some courses that are more hilly, undulated, whatever. Bottom line is it's 7,500 yards or whatever. Has there ever been a time, Micah, where you didn't think you physically were going to finish a round?
Well, yeah, Torrey Pines has some decent hills to walk up and down, but no, I've never come close to not finishing a round. The only time I can think of was, I think it was back in 2003. We were in Springfield, Missouri on the well, it's now the Corn Ferry Tour, and I think the heat index was about 110 to 115, and I almost didn't make it around just because heat exhaustion. But other than that, I've never had any trouble trying to finish around.
Does the weather in San Diego make it easier to deal with a hilly course because it's it's not hot?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess when we're there in January, it's probably the worst weather of the year. I mean, they have the storms, they have the wind, rain. Obviously, this time of year, I haven't really seen the forecast, but I think usually in this time of year, weather's pretty cooperative. It should be relatively warm for San Diego. I guess it's going to be in the 70s, maybe up to 80s, but that'll help them, firm it up, and I think it's going to be a really, really challenging Open this year.
When I see caddies in the outfits that you guys are carrying the bag, you see golfers now, we've seen what Koepka or DeChambeau or even what Tiger started, and among others that are now strong and wiry, and that's changed. How about your profession? You have to walk with that bag for 4 rounds. You hope you do, because that means your guy got to the weekend. Do you do any other physical training between a tournament ending, the Pro-Ams, and then also the tournament itself the next week?
No, me personally, I do not. I'm pretty fortunate that I'm pretty naturally athletic, I guess you could say. I'm not in the best of shape by any means, but I know there's certain guys out there that do work out. It's mainly, just having a strong enough back to carry around that 40 to 50-pound bag and having the legs to walk up and down the hills. But, yeah, there are some caddies out there, they hit the gym hard. I don't think it's any for reasons of carrying the bag around the golf course or anything, but I know guys, it's more about nutrition and really staying hydrated. We're coming up into a stretch of summer that that's the most important thing, is just staying hydrated and, and keeping your energy levels up by eating protein bars or whatever other means that you go about trying to keep up your stamina.
All right, so Doug Dim, young, talented, UT. He's had some nice moments this year. I know it did not work out at the Memorial. Tell us a little bit about his progress.
His rookie season last year got cut short because of the COVID pandemic with the shutdown, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise where he was able to keep his status and actually get a redo this year. And he's put in a lot of work, and he's taken full advantage of the extra year that he's received, and he's played well. I know he hasn't played as well as he would like to. He would like to be in contention a few more times. We have been up there, a few times this year. His main goal is try to get to East Lake for the Tour Championship.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke with him the other day. I said, the next best thing is making it to the BMW Championship, which is the top 70, and that guarantees you all the invitationals for the following year, and it makes it a lot easier to make a schedule that way. His biggest weakness this season has been his putting, and he's hired a putting coach, and he's been putting in a lot of time and effort into getting his putting up to par, and I look forward to, if he starts making more putts, and I look forward to finishing out this year on a strong note, and playing good golf going forward.
How much do you, and obviously each player is different, how much of the reading of the greens, the obviously the putts and all of that, how much feedback does he want from you?
In the beginning, he wanted a lot. And one of the things he learned by going to this, working with this new putting coach is he's not very good at reading greens. I don't know if we were just bad together. I don't know if he was not seeing the line that I was seeing. They did learn that he's very good at starting the ball in line where he wants to. I will say one thing: he grew up in Chicago, so being from the Midwest, he is more of a fan of bent grass greens. Doesn't mind Poana too much, but he really hates Bermuda. So that's kind of where I come in. When we're on the Bermuda greens, I'm more involved that way because I'm more experienced, obviously, growing up here in Texas, playing on Bermuda greens and reading the grain and whatnot. So as of right now, it depends on the type of grass we're playing on as far as how much I'm involved in reading putts.
Well, I'm surely not at any level other than like a 6 handicap, but man, bentgrass greens, those are, that's as good as it gets. I know on the tour, everywhere you go, it's like, putting on ice, but I mean, there's just, what is the difference the way the bentgrass is read compared to something else?
Well, the bentgrass obviously does have light grain, but nothing like Bermuda.
Right.
So it reads truer. It rolls smooth. What you see is what you get usually. Whereas, you could have grainy Bermuda greens, and if the grain's going up the hill, it could literally keep the ball from breaking. One thing you're going to see this week in Torrey Pines on these Poana greens is late in the day, you're going to see a lot of putts that are bouncing all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to probably see more than normal, a lot of putts inside 6 feet missed than normal, just because of the condition of the greens and them being Poana.
Hey, by the way, I'm not an Instagram guy, but I saw a picture when I Googled your name of the big pool you have in Lorena, Texas. You got yourself a setup there. Is that still where you are?
Yeah, yes, sir, it is. We've been here for 3 years now this month, and we've been enjoying it. The pool's been getting a lot of use the last couple of weeks with all this warm weather.
I'd be surprised if you're not doing the interview right now
sitting in the pool, and it looks like that's
I'm actually sitting on my back patio in front of the swamp cooler. So.
Look at the color of your pool. It's got that almost cool aqua, dark, whatever it is, color. That blue. It's beautiful. Go have fun. Sorry to bother you on your week off. Thanks for your time, Mike. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Anytime we can, we appreciate it.
All right, thanks for having me.
That's Micah Fugitt. He's a caddy for Doug Gim, played at Texas. He's trying to get his full card. I just happened to see that. That was from about a year ago, a little bit less than a year ago. His beautiful pool from Pool Time in Lorena, Texas. Give them a little plug. And he, of course, and a lot of you asked me, hey, ask him about when Billy Horschel won the Tour Championship, he got rich. He was a caddy. It's a $10 million or whatever it is, and Micah got a nice percentage of that. There was 1 year, I'm not sure exactly, it might have been 15, where his earnings as a caddy were over $1.5 million. I love the guy. He's been fantastic. I've met him a couple of different times, and such a calm, down-to-earth guy. Guess who he's caddied for? Billy Horschel, who's kind of a little bit of a DeChambeau. So he's dealt with, last time we had him on, if you remember, he's talked about having to deal with personalities.
We asked him about the last year when Bryson got in that Tin Cup situation, and what tournament was that in where he did not like that they wouldn't let him take a drop, and it was clearly behind it was behind the fence.
2 shots out of bounds.
Yeah,
is that right?
And so he decided that, they wouldn't let him, so he had to take a penalty. He didn't like it. And then he just kept he was ignoring his caddy completely. And he kept trying to, no, I can do this because I'm big and strong and I'm Bryson DeChambeau. And that was strange to watch.
Exactly a year ago. I just looked that up, and I thought it was the one in Charlotte, or I don't know, where I can't get this, all these cookies and stuff like that pop up on the site that when you try to get anything anymore. But, he had a meltdown on 15. There's no question about it. And let me see. I want to find. I want to know. I need to know now. Not that anyone else cares. It says at the Memorial. So not sure if that was at the Memorial, but I thought this was back in July of last year. I think it was maybe a different tournament than that. All right, we'll have more when we come back. Lace Dunn, a lot of you. Bill Stevens, thanks for your text on what you said about the interview that we had on SicEm365 Radio. Much more to come. Back in a moment. 254-339-1122. SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street. here in Waco. I go on and on about their customer service. And again, you walk up and you tell them, like, hey, I need this. And they say, okay, we've got that. Boom. And they get it for you in the drive-thru. It's super fast. They've got great recommendations on things if you're trying to pair something. If you walked in there with, like, hey, I saw this drink recipe online, I'd like to make that. They could put everything together for you, lickety-split. Look, 4th of July is coming up here in a couple weeks. Look, you want to get a bunch of craft beer for your 4th of July barbecue? Well, that's the place to go because their craft beers rotated out, always churning the roster. Steve Chapman does there at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. And they've got a great selection of craft beer. It's the best in Waco. Tons of variety. If you're a craft beer fan, you've got to check out Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Great selection of spirits, great selection of wines as well. Everything they do is great. At Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Payments for qualified buyer with $4,000 down to 2.9% TTNL extra. See dealer for details.
Travel is back during the summer savings event at Richard Carr. Explore America in the space and safety of an SUV or truck from Richard Carr. Savings like a 2016 Buick Encore for $148 a month, a 2017 GMC Sierra for only $318 a month, or a 2016 GMC Acadia for only $228 a month. At Richard Carr, 100% credit approval is always the goal. Log on or get here now and save at the summer savings event at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Do it today by searching SicEm365 on YouTube.
We go this 4 o'clock hour, winding down quickly. We'll have Jon Machota at 5 o'clock today. I don't know how this ended up, and I know that means I have not done my homework, but the spelling bee, a young boy from Rappaport in Waco was into like round 6 of the National Spelling Bee. I don't know how he did, but one of the word that he had to describe, and he spelled it correctly. Craig, do you know the name? How do you say that, number 6?
Neurasthenia? I don't know.
All right, Paul. Neurasthenia.
Can you use it in a sentence?
Yeah.
I was very neurasthenia on a 3-foot putt to win $1. I have no idea.
Neurasthenia. What's the root of the word?
It's American.
It's definitely not American.
Actually, it was, and I'm just totally not looking at Wikipedia. It was first in 1829 used, and apparently originates in North America.
Oh, okay.
Told you.
Neurasthenia. What's the definition?
Oh, dear God.
Hey, listen, we're playing the game. We're playing the game. I'm not just going to.
It's a psychopathological term that denotes condition with symptoms of fatigue, anxiety, headache, etc.
Neurasthenia. Neurasthenia. Wow.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was actually, I thought you were going to Neurasthenia.
I gotta find this young man.
Well, I actually had a spelling bee story that was an off the radar that I'd never got around to. It was months ago, though, not at this point, so it's not worth revisiting, really. But apparently they did install tiebreakers, so you won't have a situation like
the 6-way tie.
You won't have the 6-way ties, which I'm all for because there's times where ties make sense. 6-way ties. No, we're not gonna. That's not competition really. So yeah, apparently they've cleaned that up a little bit.
All right, the last name, and I just happened, I didn't know, it is Vihan Sabal, Sibal from Rappaport, and he was through what I think is round 6.
It is kind of a bummer that they're doing virtually this year.
Here it is, right here. Here he is. He's a number 166, whatever that means. And so I think they go to another round.
What's weird, though, is they're doing it on webcam, and I don't know how you prevent people from, there's got to be some sort of software that you use to monitor somebody's screen, I would think, because otherwise,
if you have an issue.
Yeah, there has to be.
When you have an issue, like if I have to call Dow Myers or Derek Tonkin and I need them to, or even if it's something with a business. Like I was the other day trying to make a car payment and I couldn't get for some reason. And so she grabbed it and the customer service so maybe that's how they can tell.
What's to stop? I guess you'd have to set up your webcam in a way that nobody could stand.
Or no one else is in your
behind
room.
you because
KWTX has a story on him that they put up like an hour ago. And apparently he has a proctor at his home that monitors that he's following the rules.
That would make sense because how many parents would just stand behind their kid like this?
NEURASTHE.
Y'all aren't getting creative enough. Everyone who's been in lockdown doing like Zoom classes, you should see some of the ways people found.
I've seen the GPAs rise, and I'm not foolish enough to think that everybody was at home just studying harder than they normally would. Yeah, that's definitely been noticed.
Wish I'd have known about that when I was taking my SAT.
Going back to school this last year.
Could I have Zoomed the SAT?
Yeah,
if I could have Zoomed during the SATs, you may be talking to Harvard. Paul Catalina, I don't know.
No kidding, man.
All right, Hayden, you don't have to give this information. Everyone knows I started out junior college. I always use a reason for that, but it was because what was your ACT score, Hayden?
30. You said 30.
30. Emma? Didn't have to take the ACT.
Yeah, I didn't take
you don't take the ACT unless you fail.
Yeah, I didn't take. Yeah, I took the SATs.
Okay, so you never had to.
The ACT was a better test.
All right,
was it? Yeah,
ACT for you, Jack. You remember?
34.
See, this is horrible. I'm not going to mention mine, Craig.
No, I took the SAT and I don't remember what the score was. I think it was like I don't even want to speculate because I'll probably bump it up or bump it too low. I don't even know what the scoring is now at this point.
18.
18.
Hey, you're eligible.
Well, I was eligible to be a human.
Like academically eligible.
Do I say something that will kill Smokey right now?
Yeah.
I got
Vince Young had a 7th
grade.
Listen, first of all, I still ended up in a better school at Stephen F. Austin than anyone else in this room did. So, but I hated those.
Look, I can't really
freeze up in those things.
Look, those three all went to Baylor. I can't, with any definitive certainty, tell you that Florida State's better than SFA. I mean, I do know that like they have some challenging classes and big time departments to do a lot of research, but I don't know that Stephen F. Austin doesn't.
Did you ever walk through those buildings?
I walked through them, and took the tour. I mean, I
hated them.
I was an English lit major.
But my excuse for going to Tyler was because I was in Japan, came back right before my senior year. There was none of this technology. Mm-hmm. Everything was letter, everything was by mail, and I didn't know where I was going to go. So a friend of mine was going to go take a computer class up there. I went up there on a road trip. And thank God I had just enough on the ACT to get into Tyler Junior College, which is a hell of a JUCO. I mean, it's one of the best.
Computer class. Well, I mean,
it's computer before anyone really knew that was.
You probably did okay in that one.
No, I didn't go up there to take computer class, or otherwise I would be teaching you about Adobe Audition.
Clearly not.
Yeah. No, I went up there just to go up there on a road trip. It was a senior class trip. All right, when we come back, Jon Machota, theathletic.com, and the Cowboys and SicEm365 Radio.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Jon Machota of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus. And best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects. With 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
By the way, there is a fundraiser.
Going deep. Cooper. Oh, one-hander. Are you kidding me?
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing is time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Before we get to John, real quick, former DPS trooper Clint Walker from Groesbeck, who was killed. There's a 3-day benefit, and the proceeds are going towards installing bulletproof windshields in all patrol cars in Limestone County. So there's a barbecue, there's a banquet, there's a concerts or whatever. If you are interested, it's Walker Strong Initiative, and it's all law enforcement get in free. It's a 3-day event. It's gates open. It's June 25th through the 27th. And I'll have more information for you after we have Jon Machota with us, because it's a huge deal to try to help the police officers in Limestone County, and maybe perhaps elsewhere as well. Jon Machota. So, John, we're in Oxnard, California. It is Mike McCarthy, Jerry, Stephen, whoever, Rich Dalrymple. What would your first question to open training camp be if you had the first question?
Jerry, you think this team's good enough to win the Super Bowl? And that wouldn't be something I would ask anybody, but Jerry Jones, you never know what he's going to say. So it would definitely be asking Jerry something along those lines to see if we get this thing started off, because that's the thing, like enough of those pre-kickoff training camp press conferences, there's always like some type of Jerry saying some type of glory hole thing, or, like he knows what he's doing out there. So I would just lob it up to him to see if he would say something really bold or something right off the bat. Yeah, that would probably be my first thing.
How long would that answer be, Paul?
Oh, I'm sure it would be.
Yes.
And then he would go through, and he said, there's things that people don't see, and he would go through all of it that he's confident in. John, Nashawn Wright is getting a lot of hype out of minicamp. Now, granted, I worry that he might be the guy who everybody's excited about, but he's going to probably look like a third rounder early on, isn't he? Or are people that confident in him all of a sudden?
No, I think he's looked pretty good at rookie minicamp and OTAs. And then he stands out. That also helps him because of his height and his size. So those are going to be things that are natural for people to gravitate towards. And then just the fact that everybody knows, how many times did we talk about for how many months, how big corner was a need for them. And then so when they don't address it with that 10 pick, I thought for certain was going to happen. Then all of a sudden you're just like, well, okay. They got Micah Parsons, but now what are they doing at corner? And then they draft a guy in the second round who, there's some off the field concerns, and, he's missing some of this OTA time because of an illness and being quarantined for 10 days. And so, you're might be a little skeptical there. And then if you're a Cowboys fan and you've watched over the last 2 years, you kind of feel like, yeah, I got a good sample size. I know what we got in Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis. That's not really wowing me. So, and then you got Trayvon Diggs. So you're like, well, we got one guy on one side. I feel pretty good that, his best ball's still ahead of him and he could be a potential Pro Bowl player. So just as a fan, especially this time of year, it becomes, okay, what is the next thing? Like who could be the somebody that could be a sleeper that could get some time? And he certainly fits that bill, because obviously there's a new defensive coordinator who likes the size of Nashawn Wright, and he obviously wanted him enough to draft him late in the third round when most experts didn't have him going to like the 5th, 6th, or 7th round. And so, yeah, there's going to be a lot of reason for that, for hype behind a guy like that. But, playing corner is tough for the elite of the elite, Jalen Ramsey's and Patrick Peterson's coming right out of college, like the elite of the elite, top 10, top 5 guys, let alone a guy getting taken late in the third round. Expect him to come in and just all of a sudden be your starting corner. I think that's asking a lot.
John, if you had to go all in on a receiver leading the category or leading the Cowboys, just overall statistically, are you going Michael Gallup, you going CeeDee Lamb, or are you going Amari Cooper?
I'm going CeeDee Lamb. I think that there's a lot left there. I don't think we even seen him scratch the surface. I think CeeDee Lamb is certainly capable of putting up the numbers that we saw Justin Jefferson doing last year for the Vikings. And so, he happens to be in an offense where the quarterback got hurt, and their starting franchise quarterback got hurt, and then he's got two other big play receivers around him. But no, I think CeeDee Lamb is just. You can just see the growth in him, and then again, when just watching those practices, even if you're not looking for him, he just does things that make him stand out. That, in a way, even though they wear the same number, they do things differently. But it's one of those things where if you're just standing there watching practice about 5-6 years ago, it was real easy to find 88 because there was just things that Dez was doing that was just different than everybody else that just make you stand out. And there's certain players like that. I'm sure that if we were having a conversation right now with some writers that have covered Atlanta for a long time, they'd say the same thing about Julio Jones. And when back in Michigan, there was a couple times they got to go to Lions practices. I would say the exact same thing about Calvin Johnson. There's just certain guys that they're just different and they just really stand out. They catch your eye even when you're not looking at them, and that's CeeDee Lamb.
When he has been healthy, Keanu Neal has registered 100 tackles or so on average per year. I don't know about what happened to him in 18 or 19. Obviously, there's injuries involved there. But in the end, is he a hybrid? Is he a safety? I know that they want to move a linebacker. What are they going to do with Keanu? Is he just going to be everywhere?
I think it depends on the health of the players on defense. If Jalen Smith is healthy and Leighton Vander Esch is healthy and Micah Parsons and Jabril Cox are all healthy and they're all playing well. I mean, this is already a scenario that we know is not going to happen. But we're going to pretend that happens. If it does, then I could see him filling in and playing a little bit more safety just because they're going to be like, hey, this is one of our better defenders. This is a guy who certainly knows what Dan Quinn wants to do. He's still got plenty of good ball left ahead of him. We need him on the field somehow. More likely is that maybe one or two of those linebackers are pretty solid, and they work him in there at linebacker with that group, and then also maybe in certain packages. I think if he's playing safety, regardless if it's the quote-unquote, he's not going to be the deep safety. So even if he's technically out there as a safety, he's going to be that safety that's up near the line of scrimmage that, is playing the strong safety role, which you can kind of meld it into what, he could be asked to do as a weak side linebacker. So it could be kind of a hybrid role for him of kind of being a Swiss Army knife of doing multiple things because they certainly seem like they want to be more multiple in defense. So I think that was the key part for Dan Quinn to get him because he knows he can play multiple different positions. But as far as your deep safety, I think that type of stuff all comes down to DeMonte Casey and probably even Jaron Kearse more than it would be Keanu Neal. Keanu Neal, I think, fits more into that Donovan Wilson strong safety. But here's the thing, as of right now, if everybody's healthy, I think he sticks as being kind of a hybrid linebacker and sees most of his time at linebacker. But, there's going to be injuries at linebacker. There's going to be injuries at safety where they need guys to fill in those multiple spots. And that's where it really helps to have a guy like Keanu Neal because he can play some safety for you and he can play some linebacker for you.
Do you expect Zeke Elliott to be closer to form this year than he was last year, or is there still concern there even after the positive reviews of minicamp?
Well, again, I think with him, it's another one where if you can tell me what the health is going to be, then if he's healthy, then I think he could have his best year since, he could be up for the rushing title just because he's got a talented offensive line in front of him and he's going to have a very good passing game. That was the thing in whether we're talking 2014 with DeMarco Murray or 2016, 2017 with Zeke, when all, those 3 seasons, the Cowboys had the NFL rushing leader. One of the big things that was always a storyline was how other teams are just crowding the box. You had to beat them you had to do stuff in the passing game to get that extra player out of the box. Well, nobody should really be playing with an extra player in the box right now against this Cowboys team with all the weapons they have in the passing game. So there should be plenty of opportunities for Zeke if he's healthy to have a huge season. And I don't mean necessarily that they got to be like they were under Jason Garrett, where it's just they're constantly feeding the ball 20, 25 times a game. He can be the change-up as opposed to the passing the ball being the change-up. But I just feel like if he's healthy, he'll be fine. If that offensive line is healthy, I think he'll have a definitely a better year than he had last year. But I'm not ready to sit here and say that he's going to be 2016 Zeke. I mean, that was just an absolute freak show coming out the gates, what we saw that year, where he was leaping over guys, trucking guys. I mean, he was very healthy. But there's just no question that the wear and tear he's taken on his body, whether it be combining those years at Ohio State and then this time with the Cowboys, I mean, that takes a toll on you after a while, and you can only take so many of those shots. So he looked good in training. I mean, in minicamp and OTAs, and he seems healthy and he seems very motivated. So everything seems like a go, but you know that can change real quick with just a small injury.
John, I ask you this because every time a guy is, a free agent or perhaps involved in trade rumors, the Cowboys, if it's a name guy, always get brought up. But I also ask this because this guy's a former Baylor star. Xavier Howard in Miami, he's holding out right now from camp. Brian Flores has commented on it and said that it's just something that they're working through. If, and I know it's a big if, but if Xavier Howard in Miami were to come to the conclusion that they might dangle him out there, would the Cowboys have any interest, and would there be any way feasibly for them to perhaps pursue an Xavier Howard?
I'd be absolutely stunned if that happened, and Dak Prescott is the biggest reason for this. The Cowboys will always be mentioned with these guys, but now that they made Dak the highest paid player in franchise history, knowing what the salary cap's going to be and how much they can fit under the cap, and then the fact knowing that they're going to need as many draft picks as possible to continue filling out this team around Dak, because those are the most affordable pieces you can get. I just cannot see them giving up draft picks to go get a player like Xavier Howard, because they're going to have to give up a decent amount. They need those draft picks now more than ever to fill out the rest of the roster for these next 4 or 5 years with the contract Dak has. I mean, that's just how it's going to be. So, yeah, the Cowboys are always going to be mentioned in these conversations for all these players and stuff. I don't think it's possible with just the way that their money is allocated. I don't know how you could afford to bring on a contract like that and give up the picks. It just doesn't make a ton of sense. And I think that they would rather go the younger route just because they know that, hey, we got more money tied up in this player at quarterback than we've ever had tied up in a player before. So that's the thing. Like, you weren't going to just pay Dak and be like, yeah, everything's going to be business as usual. You're going to pay Dak, but it's going to cost you in some other areas of the team where you're going to have to go with young guys, and that means you're not going to be able to have standout players at every position.
Last year, it seemed like the Cowboys were more involved in creating turnovers, which we know now for how many years, Paul? Forever. Mm-hmm. They have struggled with, but they did have kind of a slew of them. What was that? Was that from players who create turnovers, or was that the defense that was riddled? What in the end do you think? I guess what my question is if that is that a possibility of who they could become?
I would say last year, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, with what I believe, I think there's a lot of luck involved. I just think there's some years that, it's just kind of like, it's like gambling. Like, how many years were they bad at getting turnovers? Like, it was obscene. Like, it was like, this doesn't even, like, the algorithm on that didn't even make any sense. So you feel like eventually at one time it's got to turn, even whether you're going to get the ball out or not. And because I never thought that was an issue under the Rod Marinelli defenses, where it was like, they're just not trying to strip the ball because they're not really that worried about it. So they worked on all that stuff. They practiced it as much as they practice it now. I think that they were put in some situations where guys probably took, a few more gambles, especially because the defense was not nearly as solid, and that probably helped out a little bit. And then you were playing some bad quarterbacks. You're playing some bad teams. I think that stuff factors in as well. Do I think that they'll get more turnovers with what Dan Quinn's trying to be doing, being more multiple than they did under Rod Marinelli? Yeah, absolutely. But I don't see this all of a sudden becoming a defense where you're like at the end of the year going, yeah, Cowboys top 5 in takeaways. Like, I don't think that happens. I don't think it goes all the way back to Marinelli, but I don't think that all of a sudden they turn this corner and they're about to be some elite takeaway defense.
It goes back further than Rod Marinelli. I mean, it's been years since they've been. I can't even remember the last time you were really thinking about them, John, as a turnover creating defense.
I feel like you'd have to go back to, I would think at the time, Mike Jenkins was probably one of the corners whenever that was. It's probably Mike Jenkins and like maybe some Gerald Sensabaugh at safety and a little Scandrick mixed in there. Some of those names. It's probably the last time that it was. But really, when Marinelli took over in 2014, that's when they kind of went to the more of the bend but don't break, keep everything in front of you. We're going to get most of our pass rush from our front four. teams are going to know what we're going to do, but we're also not going to give up huge plays, and our offense is going to help us win games. And then now last year it seemed like they tried to be a little bit more offensive on defense, if you will, a little bit more, taking a little bit more risk, taking a little bit more chances. Of course, the flip side of that is then you give up some big plays that were kind of uncustomary under a Rod Marinelli. So, it's a give and take on that. Like I said, I could see them having more than that time. I just do not look at them as being some team that all of a sudden you're just like, hey, watch out. This is Legion of Boom Part 2.
Anything else, Paul?
Nope.
Greg? All right. John, thank you very much. Jon Machota, athletic.com. That website continues to just explode how good it is across the board. I saw that they hired a new writer that is involved in the gambling and whatever else. So we're going to have a much more impact for you if you're interested in odds and Vegas and games and gambling and all that, because it has taken the country by storm. There are a lot of things that's interesting in this country that have changed when it comes to sports, athletics, whatever. The NIL is one, the name, image, likeness. Gambling, when it comes to what you can and cannot do around the country. And, marijuana. I mean, you think about it, there's things that I thought I'd never see. It was just a matter of time. You realized money, gambling, casinos, whatever, there's money there to be made. So if we can make money, then we might change our mind.
I'm very curious to see how the NCAA eventually has to react to those things, because gambling is not legal in all 50 states yet, but the trains on the tracks, it's going to move a little slower than NIL, but the trains on the tracks, and especially post-COVID, I think it might move faster because states are going to try to figure out how they can make money, like some quick windfalls to make up for some shortages in tax revenue. So I think that gambling is going to come quickly, and maybe Texas might be one of the last ones kicking and screaming. Same with marijuana.
Yeah, we're not even close. They had.
I mean, hell, we barely have electricity. So
yeah, exactly.
But
we're building a wall thanks to donations or something.
Yeah. So, so it just but I do think I'm curious to see how they do react to it, because again, when you have, if NIL is already in place, which NIL is not only just students getting money, it's being able to make money as a legal adult, which they've never really let them do before. So if I can make money as a legal adult, what's to stop me from gambling as a legal adult? What do you do in 43 states now? I think it was more than 38 states, something like that. Marijuana is at very minimum decriminalized. So how do you deal with that if you're a university when your policy may be no marijuana, but like you're not above the law? You can't make laws that aren't on the books. You don't have that power. So how do you deal with that?
Well, I mean, they've dealt with it some way by saying that these guys can't sponsor gambling companies.
Yeah, but
they've cut that off in some states, at least as a precautionary measure. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that they have any clue. We're asking questions that they don't even have the answers to, quite frankly. I mean, let's face it. It took them a million years to find a playoff format, and now that's changing. It seems like maybe they hit on something good, but there's a billion other things, a billion other loose ends that they don't seem to have an answer for right now, or they're asking basically others to give them the answer, especially in name, image, likeness. So, yeah, who knows?
I just get a feeling if the NCAA was in charge of building a car, they would have not invented windshield wipers until there was 100 wrecks because of rain.
Well, no, they would have built it, and then, we forgot the engine. We better start getting to work on that, I mean, it's odd, this whole time period that we're living in with all these different changes. But, name, image, likeness will be game-changing, and they have at least cut off some of the, things that guys could advertise for. So we won't be seeing, some USC wide receiver for some pot store, out in Los Angeles or something like that. But, I don't know, man. It's the Wild West. They keep saying that. It's kind of cliche at this point, but it's true.
All right. Here's from Carl Campbell. I'm not entirely I clicked on the wrong text. Ask Brigham Young how they deal with the fact their students can't do anything that isn't kosher with the Mormon religion. Scotty B, I'm not entirely shocked Baylor men's tennis went after more transfers. They picked up a transfer from Georgia Tech in California today. Here's what he also said about the Jim Grobe interview. I do think Jim Grobe helped the program in order to stable in order to stable, even when facing a difficult situation. He did all he could to keep the program afloat. Nothing changed from me between back then and now I feel about him now after the interview. In other words, we had the interview. A lot of you have commented on it, and I've seen nothing. 99.9999% of people who now have not heard from him or in a while, and oh my God, and it's been amazingly overwhelmingly positive, and I think it would be. I wouldn't, there might be one or two. Oh my God, he wasn't Art Browse, but no. When Phil Bennett and even other coaches bring him up, it says quite a bit about Jim Grobe.
And I'll say this: I've never felt more just stressed for a head coach than I did on the CAB day, which I don't, that.
Oh, 16, yeah.
Yeah, and 16 where, look, I get it. Like everybody was I understand trying to support, but like it just, for him having to deal with that and not like, again, he stepped into a situation like into a flood, and it was just going to continue to stop raining, and he had a bucket and was trying to bail water in a public relations sense constantly
on a cruise ship,
and he did an unbelievable job of keeping their heads above water for as long as he did, and then it just eventually, you get one guy with a bucket and everybody else is, trying to knock holes in the boat.
Yeah, I will say, looking back on that CAB day, as you called it, that is still one of the dumbest things. And I, have nothing against anybody who took part in that. I know at the time emotions were running high, but I think that was an awful, awful look for Baylor. I thought so at the time. People continued to defend it, but it did nothing but worsen the damage that was already out there. And that's basically the same time everything started falling apart with the football team.
Yep.
Because the fans themselves drew some line in the sand. And I know what they were trying to say, but what they didn't realize, and I guess somewhat realized, but we're just going to fight through it, which they found out very quickly. You're not going to win that battle online. You don't have enough numbers to compete with all of the groups of people and media corporations that were, pretty much, I don't want to say slander. They were just constantly calling out Baylor. When you get something?
No, I had to take a deep breath.
But, in hindsight, that was just a war that you weren't going to win. And so all you did was just make yourself look like a bunch of crazies who were supporting a guy who everybody in the world thought was an evil person. And I get it, but the way they went about doing it, it was just very poorly done and was damaging, and it accomplished nothing positive.
Yeah, and of course, all of this started when we had Jim Grobe on yesterday, and remember all the ups and downs. He mentioned them too, and talked about some really insightful things behind the scenes in the 2016
And it's okay.
season.
People make mistakes,
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody who wore that shirt that day in hindsight is like, yeah, that was probably a bad idea. But at the time, you were thinking a certain way. It's why.
And there's some that think it was still a great idea.
And some that still think it was a great idea. I don't know how you could possibly think that, because nothing changed. It only got worse across the board, and it certainly didn't better Art's position in any way, shape, or form. It probably just got worse for him too, quite frankly. So, hindsight's 20/20, but I thought that one was pretty clear at the time, too.
From theathletic.com on the NCAA and Arizona State. They are investigating whether Arizona State's program hosted high school prospects during the COVID-19 dead period. Per sources, the school's athletic compliance office recently received a packet filled with detailed information on high school prospects who visited during the dead period. Not much later, compliance officials started interviewing staff members. Former athletic department employees said that some people in the football offices are concerned about losing their jobs. ASU can confirm the NCAA is conducting an investigation, said their vice president of media relations. One of the allegations is hiding recruits in a suite during a home game last season at Sun Devil Stadium.
Okay, now that will get you in trouble.
The former coach said he once ran into two recruiting assistants bringing a recruit up to the back stairs of the program's football facility to meet Herm Edwards. The recruit committed and ultimately signed with Arizona State.
I mean, and that's the thing, too, is I would be curious to know who that is and if they, ultimately help them win a bunch of football games, because you can argue depending on what the penalty will be, maybe it was worth it. That's the thing about the NCAA is sometimes they levy a punishment and it makes everybody go, that's all? Well, then we might as well just keep doing it too, or do it too. And so,
I'm sure we'll find out in 2027.
Yeah, right.
When this is
He's
all
already
resolved,
retired from the NFL,
and we're looking back at COVID-19. Hey, you guys remember COVID back then? That was wild.
Kind of like 2016. NCAA halted all the, we know what happened. It was 15 months of basically a dead period. Coaching staffs were forced to communicate with recruits for video. Okay, per one source, a staffer later pointed out the hallway cameras in the football facility would have video of recruits. If anyone ever bothered to check, he was ignored. Allegations, of course, they played 4 games last year.
So does that mean that those videos are out there?
I don't know.
I mean, because if they are, then yeah, there's evidence, and you have to punish them because there's clear evidence of it. I'm curious, like, what the actual penalties would possibly be in this situation. But look, I don't think that they're probably the only ones that did something like that, but that is flippantly trying to bend the rules to get a recruiting advantage, so they need to be punished for it. That's pretty clear. And, I'm not surprised. You could have said any team in the country was doing this, and I wouldn't have been surprised by it, quite frankly.
Asked if Edwards would be aware of potential recruiting misdeeds, one former AD staffer responded without hesitation, no way.
Another garbage.
Said Edwards is more of a is a lot more closer in recruiting, similar to many head coaches, but not everyone agrees. So we'll see what happens. That's just another story out there. Yet another program that pushed the envelope.
Hold on. I thought the head coach knew everything of every aspect of every inch of every part of the football program. Isn't that what we were told about 5 years ago? Every head coach is supposed to know everything. So don't tell me Herm Edwards didn't know anything was going on in recruiting. Bull S. He knew everything that was going on, just the same way that you accused others of knowing every single thing that was going on. Either the coach knows, and that's across the board, or they don't know everything, and we admit that, because it's not selective. It's not like, at Arizona State he doesn't know everything, but at Baylor he should know everything.
Right.
Well, and that's the thing, is you run the line of ignorance or you're ignorant or complicit.
It doesn't matter if he knew or not. He's the head coach. He runs the ship. He's going to, if in fact it happened, we'll see what happens. Okay.
I'm just all about equal treatment. So if you're going to give me that stuff 5 years ago about the coach has to know every single aspect of his program, then don't try to give me any excuse about Herm Edwards not knowing that recruits were clearly breaking rules.
Herm Edwards is a media darling, and we love him. I mean, I
don't have anything against him, but
don't start reporting based on how much you like the guy or not.
Well, I mean, nobody's reporting. I'm just saying, if there's any reaction, because I'm sure there's some Arizona State fan, which, I mean, let them talk. It doesn't matter. But just speaking generally about it, we're going to apply that 5 years ago. That should be applied right now. I don't care how nice the guy is or how many NFL games he won or whatever. I like Herm Edwards, nothing against him, but rules are rules. And either we're going to live by them or we're not. And this picking and choosing, that doesn't get us anywhere.
Pulse 5:55 coming up in 25 minutes. Baylor, again, I told you men's tennis have a couple of transfers who've committed. The reporter, Parsha Bombs is the name of the Twitter account. Just got his number. He just sent me his number. I'm not sure what we'll do with that to kind of tell us about these two players, Georgia Tech and Cal. And there's much more to get to as well. 254-339-1122 as well. SicEm365 Radio. IdealMRI.com. In fact, behind us, their logo is there, along with Petty Clinic Low T, along with Texas Farm Bureau Insurance for what they sponsor with radio here on SicEm365. Ideal MRI can help save you hundreds and maybe thousands of dollars. How? Well, their MRIs are $497 or less. Not $497 the first time and $953 the second and $1,500 the third. No, it's $497 or less with an MRI at Ideal MRI in the Central Texas Marketplace just off of I-35 and Loop 340, Highway 6 in Waco. $497 or less. They have state-of-the-art technology. They have doctors that will read the MRIs, send you exactly what they find, tell you what they find, and then you can then also the video or the images and what they have, the report sent to your doctor, your orthopedic surgeon, or whoever you've talked to about something that hurts really badly to where you can't function, a muscle, a ligament, or something else, in your shoulder, in your leg, in your back, somewhere that hurts like hell. Ideal MRI is also now a place where you can get fatty liver disease screening. They are connected with Dr. Gunn, who's in town, to start looking at that. And they're helping with that particular screening, fatty liver disease, something you got to be careful of. And it's not just for people who are overweight, but also those who battle alcohol. Or sometimes it can just be a problem. And so why don't you want to know about that? You do. And they can help you with that at idealmri.com.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay.
Rudy's Tasty Oak Smoked Barbecue.
Next in line.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingram with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Allen Samuels is celebrating Jeep Freedom Days with the 2021 Jeep Renegade Latitude with values up to $3,750 or 1.9% for 72 months, plus $500 bonus cash. See the 2021 Jeep Gladiator Overland with total values of $1,500 or 3.9% for 72 months. Allen Samuels, the award-winning customer service Central Texas dealer, located at 201 West Loop 340, online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Come by, let's be friends.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 for all day Saturday and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
You know, we've talked about this how far back before somebody has to apologize for something they were involved with, even if they didn't know? So I saw this. Barrett Media Sports is a good job. This is from McGraw-Millhaven. Someone somewhere decided to pull out a 2014 article about debutante Ball L. Kemper, attended in 1999 and tweeted about it. Someone somewhere decided to pull out this 2014 article. She attended a debutante ball in 1999. Apparently, this was a high society event for all the well-to-do in St. Louis that is connected, the organization connected to the balls called the Veiled Prophet, host a yearly ball. At one point, it was discriminatory towards blacks and Jewish people. But that was years ago. And years before Kemper was involved in 1999. Today, the group is a model of diversity, gives back to the entire community in thousands of ways that make St. Louis proud. The story made the news on Tuesday and then again Wednesday. Then Fox News talked about it. And then more outlets picked it up. She apologized in 2021. She eventually apologized, thoughtful, whatever.
So she apologized for something in 2021 for an article that appeared in 2014 about a dance she attended when she was 19 years old in 1999.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. It's kind of absolutely insane. And look, she admitted that, look, she looked back into the history and she did everything. Ellie Kemper is a very funny actress, very talented actress. And I've watched a ton of stuff she's done. She's great in what she does. She is in no way a racist. It was 1999. It's a debutante ball. The whole thing, I mean, her parents were involved in the organization. I mean, I don't know what she had to apologize for, but because somebody, people are bored and go on the internet and they put a thing, is Ellie Kemper a racist? No, she's not. And why would you even do that?
Imagine how much heat someone would get if they said just what you said in response. Like, if someone was demanding an apology or being like, you did this thing, and you're like, so what exactly do I have to apologize for here? It was this many years ago. This is why I was there. I feel like they'd get destroyed for asking a legitimate question like that.
Yeah. I think that's why it took her a few days to come up with something, because it's probably confusing.
Did she have to apologize?
She did. I mean, she probably had to for her career. But
yeah, it's the safe thing.
But it's just, I mean, I think etiquette dictates no. But I mean, as far as, I don't know. Like, it just, and again, you also have to, like, we are in a period where we cannot let people learn from the history. Like, they did something, nobody thought about it in 1999. They think about it now. I can't. You have to kind of let people grow, and things were different, and people learn. If you don't let them learn, then how are we going to grow?
I just saw that.
It was very silly. I thought,
that's nuts. But
we'll sure as hell go to some movie where the guy started off as a bad character and then he's redeemed by the end, and we celebrate how he turned his life around from, like a movie like American History X with Edward Norton Jr., where he was a Nazi, he was a white supremacist. And by the end of the movie, he's very much not that, and he's very much ashamed of who he was. It's almost like he was able to learn a lesson. Yeah. It's almost like he was a bad guy, but things occurred in his life moved on, that changed his perceptions and changed his views. That is something that can happen, but, that's, I guess we only celebrate and pretend that happens in Hollywood, and then in real life, those stories are all BS or something. I don't know, but I think the whole apologizing tour that people are on and all that stuff, I mean, it depends on who we're talking about and what exactly we're talking about. Like her in particular, attending a dance it's been around for decades and decades and decades. I don't blame teenage her for not knowing at the time what she knows now as somebody who's pushing 30. But, obviously if you know those things and you're willingly doing that and you're celebrating it, yeah, that's wrong. Hopefully you've learned from that, learned a lesson. It sounds like she has. I don't think she has to apologize for that. I don't think she hurt anybody. And I think a lot of this is just so silly. It really is. But that's the world that we live in. Although I do feel like there is some pushback. There is starting to become some pushback to a lot of this.
I got a question for you, because you guys both know that I'm not the smartest brick in the wall, and at the same time I look at things because I'm much older than both of you, and I don't always have my filter. My question is, if we erase enough of our history, how are we ever going to know it existed?
But what kind of history are you talking about? Are you talking about taking statues of racists down? Because that's
I'm talking about, like, you can't teach classes. Certain things aren't going to be in schools to learn about what and how and what was slavery.
Well, I mean, Texas just banned, or Florida just banned teaching critical race theory. So you can look at from the opposite side of things and say, why aren't we teaching these types of things? I know why some people feel like we shouldn't be teaching that. I've read enough about it, but I mean, it depends on what exactly you're talking about. Do you have a specific example maybe?
Well, you mentioned this one time about the statues that were torn down during the emotional times, and just some of them ripped down that maybe didn't need to be. That you thought that they should put them in like a museum.
I think there should. I don't know. I mean, like,
because it still happened. It's not like this didn't happen. You could disagree with it. It could have been a horrible time. But should we not still know it happened?
Yeah. But do you need the statue to know that it happened?
I don't know if you need the statue. I think our history education in this country, and part of the thing is it's not on a standardized test. Like, everything is teaching to a test now and all that stuff. So history really falls by the wayside. I don't know how many people I've heard say, because it was just the 100th year anniversary, about the Tulsa Race Massacre.
I did not know anything about it.
The only reason I knew anything about it was I was a history minor in college, and I took a class on African American history, and that day he talked about it, and I remember thinking, like, why would you not talk about it? And then sadly enough, I didn't think about it again for a long time. And then it came back up again this year, and I thought, well, man, yeah, that was a real thing that happened, and people didn't learn about that. And people didn't learn about that because the victors of history kind of write the history books. And sometimes people are like, well, we don't want to, that's too scary, it's too bad. And if you look at some of the older history books, the way that they glaze over slavery and racism and things like that, I think we really need to learn warts and all history of what our world and country is, because that's how you're going to learn from things, and not like, well, it was an unfortunate time. That's kind of how it was glazed over for a lot of American history now. And now people are pushing back because they're afraid that, the history you're learning is not going to be patriotic if you tell everything about a country. But, look, we're not perfect in America. Nobody's perfect. We're not perfect. We've done some bad stuff.
No, but there's a balance in those things should be taught, but they shouldn't be taught, in my opinion, with a total anti-American slant to where we pretend like that's not happening in various countries all over the world right now at the same time that we were going through it, before America was even an idea. Like, I'm not doing whataboutism, like, well, what about China, like so many people do. No, teach the American side of things and teach it truthfully and expose the warts and put it all out there, and that's put like a little red ribbon on it to make it seem like, oh, it all ended happy. No, teach that. But also teach that it's not just America, because I feel like there's this anti-American sentiment that's out there. That's where I have a problem, that it's only America that's this way, and it's only America that has not treated minorities equally, and it's only America. There's this big push by certain people to make it seem that way, and I see foreign countries like Putin today. What does he bring up? He brings up the Americans' racist past and trying to deflect the question about him killing a bunch of his formidable opponents in Russia, because a young American journalist asked him that question, and he basically deflected it, and he turned it around onto America, just like the Chinese have done. So they're sitting around acting like we're this big bad, boogeyman, and it's like, yeah, we are not perfect, but no one is, and we need to rip the warts off the entire thing.
How many former Baylor players who have played overseas, black, African-American athletes, have told us about what they learned about being overseas?
A lot. I mean,
a lot. And how many of them have also said to a man how much they then realize what they have in this country?
Well, yeah, and look, Epe Udo's not playing. He was a star in Turkey. He was a big deal in Turkey. He's not playing in Turkey right now because Turkey's bad.
That doesn't mean that there aren't bad things. That's not what I'm trying to suggest.
No, but I do think, I think that there's a nice little lane that you can get in of teaching a patriotic existence of America, while also saying, like, listen, here's what we did that worked, here's what we did that doesn't work, and here's what we're still trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, if you're ashamed to be an American because of our past, you'd be ashamed to live anywhere in the entire world.
Exactly.
But a lot of people want to act like, because it's a political agenda, is to try and focus purely on us. And I agree that we need to focus and worry about us more than everybody else. That is a big problem with America, is we have our fingers in too many pots, and we need to worry about what's going on at home. I think that's a huge issue. But yeah, I mean, it's why it's so hard to just trust anybody or any teachings, because everybody comes at it now with such a focused angle and agenda. And if you look at it across the board, everybody's got something they can work on.
Tim McMahon reporting the Mavericks have hired Mike Forty Sportsology, a consulting firm frequently used by NBA teams hiring GMs to assist in the search for a new head of basketball operations. That's one of the stories earlier today. Donnie Nelson, 24 years with the Mavericks, no longer is the head of basketball operations. And this the day after Tim Cato, a day or two after the story by Tim Cato about the analytics type of influence inside the front office that may have circumvented him. That's part of the story. And so that's what Chris Paul is out right now with protocol. Not sure if you heard about that with the Phoenix Suns. They're red hot. Not sure how long he's out. Not sure if he has COVID or just protocol because of contact tracing. That'll be interesting to watch. Kawhi Leonard out because of the apparent ACL that Craig mentioned earlier as far as his knee. So the NBA, they shortened the year, but they compressed the years. And you wonder, is this just a bad run of luck, or is this part of the wear and tear on the body from back-to-back years, even less games, but compressed schedule?
Yeah, it's going to be a question they're going to ask for a long time.
According to LeBron, it's it's the back-to-back years. He has come out and said, "Oh, I was trying to draw people's attention to the schedule and all this, but no one was listening to me." So
well, and you see, and the Spurs are the ones. Are the Spurs the one that started the off night? Yeah, with Duncan and Robinson and all them to give them a chance to rest, and they were good enough to be able to still win without them. And that now has become a league-wide thing. There's what's the term that they use? I can't remember, but it's when a player's taking opting out for a night, not being able to opt in. That's not the right word.
Load management.
Load management. The load management is a new term. Kind of like war.
The Spurs were also doing that when they were winning the Western Conference by 12 games all the time.
Yeah, they were.
So like you could set Tony Parker, Monty Ginobili, and Duncan out, and they could still win. He wasn't sitting them out against the best team, the team that was in second place. He was sitting them out against the Eastern Conference team that was in ninth.
I'd like to know, on average, how many of those games were sat out by players sat out against teams with records above 500.
Also, almost never at home. He knew where his bread's buttered. I mean, it was road games against the Eastern Conference.
We got yours coming up here in a second. Give us the Jacob deGrom. Craig brought this up on Off the Radar recently. Okay. He's putting up stupid numbers, record-breaking, threatening numbers.
And his spin rate is not fluctuating the way that some of the other guys that have been accused are either. That's what's even more impressive is you don't see wonky changes in certain performances from him.
Yeah. So through 10 starts compared to Bob Gibson in 1968, which I think most people will say is the most dominant season by a pitcher of all time.
I agree. In my lifetime.
I mean, as far as just numbers go, I think you can't really. 1968 Bob Gibson. Through 10 starts, Bob Gibson's ERA was 1.52. deGrom's is 0.56. His whip, 0.53. Gibson's, 0.89. Opponent's batting average, 121. Gibson, 186. Opponent's OPS 372, Gibson's 485.
Jeez.
So he is blistering the best season right now, and that could change. I mean, everybody gets hot and cold, but I mean, Bob Gibson didn't in 1968. So maybe deGrom is about to do something special. And I'm rooting I'd like to see him records broken. I was thrilled when Miggy Cabrera won the Triple Crown because I wanted to see one in my lifetime. It hadn't happened since Carl Yastrzemski in 1972, and I didn't think I was going to see it again. So, good on Jacob deGrom. Keep doing it, man.
Yeah, he's incredible. Well on his way to a Hall of Fame career. Probably still underappreciated unless you're a baseball fan. If you don't probably hear about it. I mean, if you watch SportsCenter, there's no way you don't hear Jacob deGrom's name. But he's just incredible. And, if he's using substances or whatever, he's just doing it in a way better way than anybody else is doing it. And so far, there hasn't been any noticeable differences in any of his starts, unlike with Garrett Cole, where it was very obvious pre-interview and post-interview that there was a change in his pitching. That hasn't been the case. So, he's again, just incredible to watch and a treasure every time he's on the mound. And if you just like sports and competition and great athletes, then Jacob deGrom starts are for you, in my opinion.
What's his ERA right now, Paul?
0.51 or 0.52.
That's crazy.
It's a full point lower than Bob Gibson.
There was Dutch Leonard.
How about this? This is from an analytics account attached to the Mets in percentiles for MLB pitchers. For fastball velocity, he's in the 100th percentile. Chase rate, 100th. K percentage, 99th. ERA, 99th. On base, 99th. Whiff percentage, 98. Slugging percentage, 98. Walk percentage, 97. Hard hit percentage, 89. I mean, it's just ridiculous across the board how consistently great he is. And it's been a marvelous season for Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, it has been, and there's no question about it. I don't know what the overall record. I thought the single season record was held by Dutch Leonard in 1914, a .96, 224 and 2/3 innings. The all-time record for the lowest single season earned run average by a pitcher with 300 or more innings, which he won't get to 300 innings, I don't think. Bob Gibson's 1.12. That's the one that's always been the standard. Man, I mean, this is stupid, crazy. Tim Keefe had a .86 in 1880 back in the day when he appeared in 12 of his team's 83 games in a smaller schedule, shorter schedule. All right, we've had the news about Baylor adding 2 transfers to men's tennis. We mentioned the NBA news. Much more to come. Tomorrow, Randy Clements, former Baylor offensive line coach who most recently was at Ole Miss, along with former Baylor assistant Jeff Lebby. He's bounced around since 2016. He'll be a part of the show. And a good chance, I'll throw it out there, a good chance we get Ron Jaworski, former Eagles Super Bowl quarterback, and, of course, longtime ESPN analyst for the National Football League.
I promise you when we call him, he will either be in the middle of making money because he's an absolutely fantastic businessman, or he will have been just watching film.
Yeah, one of the two. Yeah,
one of those two.
You're right.
Nobody breaks it down better than him.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
All right, brought to you by Slapsticks Comedy Club. I got some pictures from Mike and Kevin today. As the sign's going up here soon, and the room's getting painted. It's going very well, and hoping for that soft opening on July 3rd, and I will be there at the July 3rd show, which is, again, a soft opening, but some good things coming up at Slapsticks Comedy. Go to slapstickscomedy.com. All right, top 5 pitchers who doctored the baseball and the ways that they did it. And some of these guys are super famous. One of them is definitely not, but he's a MLB pitching coach right now. Number 5, Rick Honeycutt. Smokey, do you remember this one? What Rick Honeycutt got caught for?
Cutting the baseball?
He had a thumbtack taped to his finger. So
he could scratch it up.
Yeah. So he had a thumbtack taped to his finger.
Why don't you just grow your fingernails a little bit longer?
I don't know.
Because that's not going to do anything. It's going to make very light impressions on the baseball. It's not going to scratch it, though.
Have you ever accidentally put a thumbtack in your finger?
When I was in high school, somebody put one on my chair one time.
Did you beat the hell? Did you kill them?
The teacher in the class was between. Like when I sat down, the teacher happened to be between me and him at the time, so that's what saved him.
Did you get one of your Italian mob friends? Take him out?
No.
Okay.
I mean, he's
at least not that day.
That guy's not doing well in life now, so
Okay.
Wait, Paul, so you're telling me from straight out of the movie The Incredibles,
I sat straight down. Like he put the thumbtack on the chair. It was the same color as the chair. I'd walked up to the front of the class to put the test down. The teacher was walking through, looking at people, make sure they weren't cheating. I sat down. It went straight into the back of my thigh. Holy cow! It hurt I had to pull it out, go down to the nurse's office.
You lived that scene from The Incredibles.
I did.
Yeah.
I lived it. It was bad.
That hurts.
Yeah, I was pretty mad.
Anyone ever stepped on a nail? No. That can get to be painful too.
Do you remember in I guess it was 2011? Well, Kenny Rogers was 41. He was playing for the Tigers, and all of a sudden he had this renaissance of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kenny Rogers at 41 was scuffing the crap out of the baseball every which way he could, and makes me wonder, because he was always a crafty lefty, if that perfect game wasn't a little scuffed.
Has anybody gone back and watched it?
Yeah.
I'm not going to close my mind to anybody in baseball cheating at some point or another. The holy grail of just no way was Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if a story broke tomorrow that he was doping up the entire time he was in the league. I'd be disappointed, but would I be surprised at this point? Absolutely not.
Yeah. Number 3, Joe Niekro.
Knuckleball.
Oh, yeah. But he had the most famous one, I think, of getting caught, where they were checking him and he had some sandpaper in his back pocket, and he just kind of threw out his back pocket and the sandpaper landed on the ground, and you could see it clearly on television.
He was using that to dust off the rubber on the mouth.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you believe that if you want to. Number 2, Gaylord Perry.
Who can be one?
Who wrote a book called Me and the Spitball.
Yeah.
After years and years of not doing it, wrote a book called Me and the Spitball, basically saying, this is how I became as good as I was. I cheated the whole time. I threw the spitball. That's what I did.
You won 300 and some games, too, didn't you?
Yeah. All right, number 1, Whitey Ford, who didn't cheat, and this is why I picked him number 1. He did not cheat the first part of his career when he was excellent, one of the best, most talented pitchers in the game.
Is the word butt coming in here?
But at the end, he said he did everything. Like any kind of legend, any kind of thing somebody told him, if you put this here, he said all over his uniform, all over his hat, whatever he could, put on the ball. He put on the ball. His catcher, whose name escapes me right now.
For who? Whitey Ford?
Whitey Ford's catcher. Wasn't Yogi Berra. He had a
Bill Dickey.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know about that.
But like they were scuffing the balls together. They had a whole thing worked out. Yeah, it was It was, yeah. I'm sure Yogi wasn't as pure as the driven snow either. But I think that, Whitey Ford and just came and said, I did everything I could.
Okay.
Yogi Berra, Elston Howard, Johnny
Elston Howard. Yep. All right, that good. I was wondering who could beat out Gaylord Perry. I still don't know if that's.
I mean, maybe I could have flipped him. I mean,
Gaylord Perry was like the poster child.
He did write a book about it. I mean,
it's great for him that he got to actually make money off of it after the fact. Writing a book, just saying, "Yep, I did it," and nothing else.
He pitched forever and ever and ever. I remember when I guess he was a young pitcher for, I think, the San Francisco Giants it was a Gaylord Perry with the Rangers at one point as well. All right, thanks to our guest today. Thanks to Lace Dunn. If you didn't hear it, you should. He was fun, and he was exciting, and he also was very, very humble in a lot of ways. And saying humble and Lace Dunn in the same sentence when it comes to on the court, that just doesn't happen.
Well, I mean,
but in life itself.
He's a confident man.
Confident human being. Also, thanks to Rob Bolton and Micah Fugitt on the U.S. Open. We have our picks in, and Jon Machota, theathletic.com. Tomorrow, another busy show. Thanks to Hayden. Thanks to Emma. Thanks to Jack as well. For Paul, Catalina, and David Smoak. Thank you to all of our incredible sponsors as we continue to grow daily. The YouTube numbers, if you haven't subscribed to that. To the app, if you haven't gotten on that, it's free. To everything and all the various outlets and distributions available, thank you. I'm David Smoak. Good night.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.